So, zack, hier.
Das wäre super. Hi Daimos, schön, dass du da bist. Ich freue mich.
Hi Sunas, schön, dass du wieder da bist.
Nächstes Mal, wenn Hexi dich einlädt, schreibst du mir instant, okay? Okay.
Ja, mache ich, aber ich wusste nicht, ich habe das gar nicht als Einladung gesehen. Das war für mich einfach nur eine Frage und ja, vielleicht möglicherweise, wir gucken mal.
Genau. So, das ist, vielleicht findet sich ja noch der eine oder andere, den wir kennen. Das ist super spontan einfach. Geht es cool, aber jetzt steht hier Suna, dass ich dich eingeladen habe. Daimos, du hast es ja schon gefunden. Also, das ist irgendwo versteckt. Ich wüsste gar nicht, wo du gucken musst.
Suna, das ist in deinem Twitch oben auf diesem, da wo du diese komischen 4 Symbole hast, dieser Briefkasten bei mein Twitch. Und dann steht da Hexenwerk Gaming möchte mit dir zusammenarbeiten, klick auf akzeptieren.
Ja, ich mache das immer mit dem Dings. Ich weiß, wie das geht eigentlich.
Wie zum Hacker hast du unsere Kamerabilder eingebunden?
Ich habe Browser einfach eingefügt im OBS. Ihr dürft euch also nicht verstellen. Sonst habe ich... Also, ihr dürft eure Szene nicht wechseln. That's my problem.
Hi, kein Problem. Ja.
Okay, was passiert jetzt hier?
Gemeinsamer Chat ist on air, wird geschrieben.
Verlassen. Aktiv. Ist aktiv. Ist aktiv? Chat?
Ist aktiv angeblich.
Ist aktiv?
Schreibt mal alle hier in den Chat. Hallöchen, Teufelsrauchen kann ich jetzt zum Beispiel hier lesen. Bist du bei Suna Teufelsrauchen bestimmt, ne? Zack. Just Call Me Dames, jawohl. Sieht nach geteilt aus. Super.
Ist on air. Oh, super. Dankeschön.
Hallo, ihr Lieben, schreibt Jungs beispielsweise.
Sehr cool. Oh Gott, ich bin so aufgeregt.
Meet Steve. It's his first day on the job after passing his Atlas Operator certification. This is Edwards. After 36 years of a successful cargo foreman career, he's ready to retire. And this is Bob, your everyday hauler. Bob doesn't give a shit. Bob is too busy reading a funny post online.
Oh, den habe ich verpasst. Das geht so schnell.
Das sind doch Fanmates, oder?
Meinst du, dass die ersten beiden, die zu sehen waren, die waren schon hochgradig irgendwie professionell, kann aber Fanmate sein, ja?
Sehr cool. Ich habe jetzt nicht drauf geachtet. Aber das war schon sehr...
Zeit bei uns.
So, was ist denn mein Chat hier?
Wow, wir waren also erstmal überwältigt. Wir haben hier eventuell noch eine Freischaltung. Ich weiß nicht, wie schnell du es einstellen kannst, Suna. Und zwar eventuell bekommen wir noch eine Übertragung von Inanea. Der kommt hier in den Discord und macht dann die Handyübertragung. Ich habe mir das so eingerichtet, dass ich dann quasi den Discord abfilme, also als Fensteraufnahme. Das müsste dann wahrscheinlich gehen. Ob es klappt, weiß ich nicht. Er war heute schon mal kurz drin.
Später dann, ne?
Später dann, wenn es überhaupt klappt. Also ich kann es nicht versprechen, aber potenziell besteht die Möglichkeit.
Ah, okay, cool. Ja, nice. Voll schön. Sehr spannend. Ja, ich bin auch sehr traurig, dass ich doch nicht hingefahren bin. Aber man weiß ja nie, wer alles kommt und hin und her. Und war ja auch nicht klar, dass die erscheinen werden, so Chris Roberts und so. Hi, Chat. Hi. Ein wunderschön. Schön, dass ihr da seid. Oh, sorry. Ich bin so aufgeregt. Oh mein Gott. Noch 19 Minuten. Daimos hochkonzentriert hier. Was guckt ihr euch sonst noch Schönes an? Oh, ich glaube, ich muss das ein bisschen besser zuschneiden, Chat. Oh, wow.
dann.
Absolut.
Made by the Community, du hast recht, Suna. Krass. Richtig gute Arbeit.
Richtig cool.
Jetzt habe ich's. So, ich habe dir das jetzt nachgemacht. Ich habe jetzt Browserquellen eingebunden. Euer Kamerabild ist es auch bei mir.
Muss jetzt nur aufpassen, dass man nicht überall alles hört. Das ist mir nämlich vorhin schon passiert.
Ja, das ist mir gerade auch passiert.
Ja, genau.
Es hat
Also ein Echo?
bisschen gedauert. Ja, ja.
Ja, genau.
Du musst einstellen, dass du die Browser-Szene, die Browser-Szene über OS, den Ton über OS steuern musst und dann musst du einfach.
Aber hast du dann unsere beider Streams offen, dann in 2 verschiedenen Fenstern, oder was?
Nein, ich habe das Bild so zusammengeschoben, dass.
Richtig.
Ja, genau.
Genau.
Genau, ich habe das Bild so zusammengeschoben, dass ich nur die Kamerabilder habe.
Genau, richtig. Oh, jetzt.
Ich schau mal, weil Suna kann das, glaube ich, sehr, sehr gut. Ich schau mal bei Suna rein, wie es da aussieht. So total professionell bestimmt.
Ja.
So, wie sieht denn Suna heute aus überhaupt? Zack. Ei, Hallöchen, hi. Na? Oh, wie krass, und wir sind da unten, und da bin ich.
Ich habe euch jetzt erstmal nach unten geschoben, ich wusste nicht wohin. Ich setze euch ein bisschen kleiner, muss der Chat mir sagen.
Geil, also können wir, warte mal, das heißt, ich kann das doch auch irgendwie. Irgendwie kann ich das auch.
Und der Timer ist weg. Oh.
Was? Ich bin weg.
Ja, keine Ahnung, du hast deine Cam jetzt gewechselt und bam, jetzt bist du mal wieder weg.
Aus Clone.
Ich habe meine Cam nicht gewechselt.
Suna. Clone.
Ich habe hier gar nichts gewechselt.
Doch.
Nein.
Oh, habe ich dich kaputt gemacht?
Nein, meine Szene.
Oh, ich hab dich kaputt gemacht.
Nein, ich habe mich kaputt gemacht, weil ich habe mein Kamerabild verschoben in meiner Szene. Du hast mich doch gewarnt.
Ich hatte gesagt, beweg dich nicht. Nicht atmen, nicht reden, nicht denken. Hi, Primus.
Das ist cool.
So. Bleibst du jetzt so, dann schiebe ich dich weiter.
Ich bleib jetzt so. Ich lasse das jetzt so, weil
Alright.
ich habe das Kamerabild jetzt möglichst weit unten alles, damit das alles so ein bisschen.
Okay.
Ich hab das bei dir kopiert.
Wird bei mir kopiert. Na, bitteschön, gern geschehen. Sorry, ich hätte euch es vorher schon erzählen können, aber naja.
Was ich nicht verstehe.
Sound.
OBS ist ja fies, ne?
Ich kenne den, diese Videos gucke ich auch immer. Oh mein Gott, der ist so gut. Den Namen vergessen.
So when you need your next ship upgrade, you come on down and you tell Scooter sent you. Y'all have a good evening.
Okay, ich glaube, ich muss noch aufs Klo oder so.
Ja, ich bin auch so aufgeregt.
Die Browserquellen sind gemein. Ich habe euch beide im Abo.
Ja.
Und der
Kenn
Browser
ich.
macht Werbung. Und OBS macht Werbung. Ganz schlimm. Das ist gemein.
Ach so, weil du dich im OBS noch anmelden musst. Du musst dich dort nochmal einloggen. Du musst im OBS nochmal links unten auf Interagieren und dann musst du dich dort nochmal einloggen in diesem Browser.
Suna,
Aber
hast du
Achtung,
vielleicht-
im Stream aufpassen, ne? Wegen
Ja, danke.
Passwort. Ja, bitte?
Hast du in diesem Tool, über das wir jetzt quasi den gemeinsamen Chat haben, hast du da die Möglichkeit, die Kamera zu aktivieren, die du hast? Du hattest Dimes bei mir gemacht. Ich krieg dich nämlich gerade nicht anders geregelt oder eingeblendet. Oder ich müsste
glaube
noch mal
nicht.
überlegen, wie ich es mache. Okay,
Ich glaube nicht, weil das Problem ist,
Ja.
wird ja über OBS jetzt übertragen. Ich glaube, das kriege ich nicht hin.
Ja, genau, das war bei mir das Gleiche. Okay.
Und dann habe ich noch Greenscreen bei dir. Das wird
Ja.
super schade aussehen.
Nee, okay. Das macht keinen Sinn. Dann.
Ja, so wie OBS auch über meinen Stream dann übernehmen. Ich bin ja groß genug. Hallo.
So, also, zack. Plus.
Dog Ark, Suna, Devi, Hexe, Daimos und Chat. Warum bin ich in 2 Persönlichkeiten da? Das habe ich jetzt nicht verstanden. Aber schön, dass du da bist. Hi.
Ja, hallo, Docker.
Hey, Doc. Okay, wie war mein Twitch-Passwort?
Tja.
17,19,20. So. Okay. Hm.
Soll ich mich ein bisschen kleiner machen, Chat? Dass ich auch so angepasst bin? Ach so, wegen dem Komma. Suna, Pause, Devi. Ich bin Suna, Devi. Suna, Devi. Okay, sorry. Ich muss leise sein. Ich bin zu Besuch. Trigger mich nicht.
Doppelter Ton.
Ja, yeah, dann musst du ausschalten. Du musst hier nur BL. Ich weiß nicht, warum das so verpixelt ist. I don't know. So, weil der Hex hier unter... Ja, gut. Alles okay? Hex hier eingeschlafen.
Ja.
Nee, ich stelle meine Szene ein, jetzt noch schnell, bevor es losgeht, damit sie perfekt ist.
Damit sie perfekt ist.
Ich mag gerade das, was Suna mir gesagt hat. Ich melde mich hier in diesen ganzen Fenstern an mit Interagieren, damit ich keine Werbung bei euch habe. Das ist gerade ein Krampf.
Wo positioniere ich euch denn?
Der hat einen tollen Hut, gell? Hm.
Dankeschön. Oh nein, ich habe Suna verloren. Komm schon, Suna.
Hi, hier.
Ah,
Ich war nie weg.
okay. Alles klar. Ja. Wisst ihr, was da auf uns zukommt?
Was kommt auf uns zu?
Nein.
Ja, ich hab, also es ist eine Frage. Es ist,
Also doch.
keine Ahnung, ja?
Nix. Es kommt einfach nix auf uns zu.
Meinst du, ja?
Boah, das wäre so
Also nix.
cool.
Okay.
Ja.
Der Wortwitz ist nicht angekommen, verdammt.
Doch, absolut. Wo steckt er denn? Jetzt soll ich RP machen, ihr Lieben. Ich kann hier jetzt nicht RP machen. Ich habe einen Button bei mir, dass die RP von mir wollen. Hallöchen. Hi. Tschüss. RP vorbei.
Next.
Krieg ich gerade nicht hin. Bitte?
Dafür muss ich dir übrigens noch danken.
Wofür?
Du hast dein RP-Event, ja? Erinnerst
Ja.
du dich? Du hast mir so Bock auf RP gemacht, dass
Sehr
ich
geil.
jetzt auf Area 18 ansässig werde.
Geil.
Und habe auch schon mit dem Steppenfalke gespielt. Und das war... Und ich hatte da auf einmal richtig Bock drauf und das macht so Spaß.
Disappear. Viel Spaß. Disappear, viel Spaß. Hi. Ja, der ist irgendwie... Verschiebt sich die ganze Zeit. Der hat sich jetzt... Jetzt entscheide dich. Ich stelle dich jetzt schon zum 4. Mal ein.
Ich? Nein, ich mach gar nichts bei... Ach so.
Ja,
Okay.
wenn du deine Kämpfe wägst.
Ich habe fertig. Ich
Okay,
mach jetzt
danke.
nichts mehr. Oh Gott.
Ah.
So, ich muss jetzt einfach eine Gruppe packen.
Ich weiß gerade überlegen, ob ich euch nicht um mich rumsortiere. Irgendwie so nach links.
Ja, ich bin auch schon am Überlegen, wohin, aber...
Dann mach ich wieder Sunas Bild kaputt.
Ist das geil. Oder ich mach den Chat nach rechts, oder?
Was war das bitte für ein geiles Video?
Ist das so ein geiles Video, oder? So. Da muss kitzeln, ja.
Das ist so gut.
Das liegt daran, dass die mich über den Browser und bei mir sind die beiden nämlich auch verzögert wegen dem Verzögerung vom Stream.
Ja, genau.
Ja, wir haben halt nicht über Discord und nicht über Cam so gemacht, deswegen
Das nächste Mal, wenn wir das machen, dann machen wir
machen wir es voll professionell. Dann machen wir mit OBS, Cam, Übertragung und so.
Okay. Wow, ich habe alles eingestellt. Super. Hallöchen.
Hallöchen.
Boah.
Ja, pass auf. Und jetzt mache ich meine Kamera aus.
Ja.
Das ist kaputt.
Mir egal, jetzt bist du draußen. Ist mir egal.
Wie sieht das, jetzt muss ich gucken, wie sieht das bei euch aus, wenn meine Kamera aus ist? Okay, ich bin einfach nur fort. Das ist gut.
Ist einfach weg.
Ja, wie sieht es beim Hexi aus? Ja, das
Es
noch
geht.
Was?
Ich habe mir Mühe gegeben. 4 Minus würde ich mir selber geben. So, geteilt und. Wie ist es denn? Ich habe doch nur eine Sache verloren.
Ja, komm, das ist doch Kacke.
Letzte Sache.
Alles beschäftigt. Danke, Jux, genau. Du hast es gut zusammengefasst. That's the thing. Ist jetzt überall alles versetzt. Oh. Noch 6 Minuten. Falsche Richtung. Das wollte ich gar nicht.
Warte mal, ich mache ein Abo bei dir, Suna. Ich habe
Und
ein Abo.
ist aber
ja,
nett.
Quatsch, das geht ja trotzdem
so.
so. Das ist ja, ich glaube,
Ich muss-
sogar nicht so.
Ja. Hm.
Alles gut. So.
Nee, das ist das nicht.
Kennst du schon?
Aber so ähnliches gibt's auch. Richtig gut.
Oh. Ace Attorney. Super gezeichnet.
Wo bist du denn jetzt schon wieder hin?
Oh, Entschuldigung.
Jetzt-
Das Video liegt.
Jetzt bist du schon wieder verschoben.
Nein, das kann gar nicht sein.
Doch.
Oh, Entschuldigung, dann so? Entschuldigung, ich muss dazwischen gekommen sein.
Richtig. Jetzt ist so.
Tut mir leid. Tut mir leid.
Hier sieht man jetzt jeden Fehler und so.
Okay, gut. Dann. Es geht gleich los, die Sendung am Start. Also, Suna, du bist auf jeden Fall sehr, sehr gespannt, ne?
Oh,
Der Deines hat
total.
Gesagt, so, er ist total. glaub
Total.
Ich, gespannt.
Total.
Ja.
Gespannt.
Ich bin hyped.
Natürlich, hallo? Das ist das Event des Jahres, auf das wir so hinwarten.
Darauf haben wir gewartet, ja.
Ja, ist doch so. Das ist so das Größte.
Mal gucken. Also, ich gehe auch davon aus, dass es auch eine totale Enttäuschung werden kann. Aber es, also,
Ich hab die
eigentlich
falschen
bin ich jetzt schon
Kopfhörer
glücklich. Nein, es ist genau
Na gut, die
so.
haben uns nichts verraten. Die haben nichts gespoilert. Es ist relativ kurz. Also, Also entweder hauen die was richtig Geiles, was halt in den 2 Stunden uns wirklich die Hosen auszieht. Ich bezweifle sehr, dass es schlecht wird. Ich weiß nicht. Bisher haben die immer gut gerockt. Oder? Also bisher fand ich das.
Ja.
Also.
Also, die CitizenCon war immer sehr.
Seitdem ich angefangen habe, das zu gucken, seitdem ich da bin, auch beim Stream, seitdem hat es mich komplett umgehauen. Also ich glaube nicht, dass das. Es wird klein, es wird wenig, aber es wird geil. Also das ist so mein Gedanke dahinter. Aber ich bin immer sehr positiv. Die müssen unbedingt noch das 5. Element noch zeigen. Das Video ist auch übelst geil.
Was meinst du mit das 5. Element?
Richtig, es gibt auch noch so ein von Star Citizen Remake von dem Trailer. Oh, es ist so gut.
Ah, okay. Habe ich noch nicht gesehen.
Das müssen die unbedingt noch zeigen. Das ist episch einfach. Welchen der 5 Streamer gucke ich nun? Also bei uns schaffst du schon 3 Streams auf einmal. Also das ist ja mal geil.
Ja.
Hi, Wadi so.
Hallo, Buddy. Oh.
Ja, Psycho, also die wollten, angekündigt ist, dass sie zeigen wollten, was nächstes Jahr passiert. Ich habe die Wissen Better Place.
Sehr süß.
Ja, aber das fühle ich, das Video habe ich gefühlt. Ja, Jaguar, Suna hängt hinterher, weil wir uns als Browserquellen eingebunden haben. Das heißt, wir greifen von unseren gegenseitigen Streams die Kamerabilder ab, weil wir das nicht über dieses Stream-Together-Tool gemacht haben. Das haben wir gerade nicht hinbekommen. Deswegen ist das alles so ein bisschen verzögert.
Das heißt, in jedem Stream hängen die anderen.
Genau.
So. Und macht euch, glaube ich, keine Sorgen. Das ist egal, wo ihr abhängt, oder? Das ist doch irgendwie so, das zählt doch heute alles zusammen. Jeder hat zwar seine eigene Statistik.
Richtig.
Das habe ich vor Monaten mal gehört. Das ist erstmal Dankeschön, dass ihr das Experiment überhaupt hier wagt. Ich habe das nämlich, ich habe extra dafür Chrome jetzt nochmal quasi mich eingeloggt mit Twitch.
Ja, gerne früher einladen. Gerne früher einloggen zum Testen. Es gab ja auch so ein besonderes Abzeichen, sogar für Twitch, wenn man sowas gemacht hätte. Das haben wir jetzt verpasst.
Ach, schade, okay. Also, ich sag mal, die CitizenCon ist die Idee, wo ich gesagt habe, ey, also hoffentlich werden viele online sein, einfach damit man wirklich einfach mal die verschiedenen Perspektiven sieht. Aber dann ist es doch eigentlich dafür doch das beste Feature, was es gibt. 6 Leute sind, glaube ich, Maximum. Ist interessant. Okay, 1 Minute 30, ich quatsch so viel.
Du quatschst genau richtig. Ich weiß
Richtig.
nicht, was ich sagen soll.
Richtig, alles gut.
So.
Aber mir kommt da gerade eine Idee, Miro.
Ja.
Ja, jetzt so. Was ist das nächste Event? IAE, ne?
Ja.
Können wir zu dritt RP-mäßig drüber laufen?
RP?
Oh,
Ja.
mit Ingame Voice und so?
Ja.
Oh, oder wie auch immer, ne? Okay.
Discord reicht. Überfordert Starcitizen nicht immer so.
Okay.
Tun wir nicht, deswegen nutzen wir Discord.
Mal gucken, ob jetzt nur ein Filmchen abläuft oder ob Jared noch irgendwie begrüßt. Da bin ich mal super gespannt.
Oh ja.
Ich brauche einen Snack.
Ey, 40 Sekunden dauert, das kannst du doch nicht machen. Oh Gott.
Holt er sich erstmal einen Snack.
Der Film fängt an. Ich fühl mich wie in einer Beziehung mit deinem.
Ja.
Du kannst doch jetzt nicht. Wir wollten doch den Film gucken. So. Fängt doch schon an. Du musst alles mitbekommen. Die Suna guckt ja. 30
Bananen und
Sekunden.
Apfel.
Okay. Dann viel Spaß, ihr Lieben. Dankeschön, dass ihr dabei seid. Cool. Ich freue mich. Oh, ich war nicht auf Toilette, stimmt.
Stimmt, das hast du öfters gesagt.
Es gibt ja auch keine Pause jetzt. Oh nein. Habe ich hier einen Eimer? Nein, Spaß.
This year has
Der
marked a
berühmte
turning
World
point
of
in Star
Warcraft
Citizen's
Instanzeimer.
history. We have finally moved past the question of whether we can build an architecture to deliver a universe with incredible detail at massive scale, seamlessly, and where thousands of people can all play together. Server meshing has been working pretty much flawlessly at scale for the past 9 months. It has brought a more populated and active verse with up to 700 players online and in the same space at once. It's greatly increased server performance and delivered a much more responsive player experience. I couldn't be prouder of the team. They delivered something no other online game does presently. There may be other games out there that claim large player counts, or even the ability to mesh, but none do it at our detail, scale, and seamlessness. Of course, there will be continued improvements to server meshing and to Star Engine, but having moved past this last big technological hurdle has allowed us to finally focus on quality of life and stability improvements, something that has long been overdue. We're about to deliver our 9th patch in 10 months, with content that has brought Star Citizen storytelling into new and exciting directions. We pushed more than 24 features and more than 2,000 bug fixes. And while there is still a long way to go, the game has gotten more stable, performant, and fun as a result. We see this in player metrics. More of you play every day. The daily average users is up 45% from last year, and your playtime is up 15%. So more people venture out into the verse and stay there longer than ever before. And through all that, we've told the dual stories of the Frontier Fighters Assault on Pyro and the moral compromises being made to combat the regen crisis. Now, as those stories come to a rest for the time being, it's time to look forward to the next chapter of Star Citizen, where the instability in Pyro and the callous actions of some pave the way to new adventures, new locations, and new threats. Last year, we announced our next Star Citizen would be Nyx, home to the People's Alliance of Levski and bordering the Vandal threat. Today, we're proud to share that your adventures in Nyx begin not next year, but next month, when Star Citizen's third system comes online in Alpha 4.4. 2 new systems in 1 year. That's only possible because of the tireless work of our development teams, server meshing accelerating what's
Nächster
possible,
Monat.
the support teams behind the scenes, and most importantly, all of you. Now, I do miss that we're not all together under one roof this year, but in many ways, we're more connected than ever. Across the globe, many of you are gathering at watch parties, 9 of them with our developers in attendance, and countless others springing up in communities everywhere, and all happening simultaneously today. So even if we're separated by oceans and continents, we're bound together by the same passion for space, for discovery, and for this incredible universe we're building together. Whether you're at home or alongside your crew at a watch party, grab a drink, sit back, and let us take you inside our up-and-coming plans for the next year of Star Citizen.
Ach,
Dieses Jahr nächsten Monat.
gespannt, so gespannt.
With the foundational technology now in place, the content development of the game is no longer restricted, allowing us to forge ahead with building out our first 5 star systems. Nyx will see the much-loved Levski landing zone added back to the verse, while also bringing you one of its most iconic landmarks, the Glacium Belt. Here,
Levski?
you'll experience a new combined arms operation that will introduce new factions and new adventures for you to discover. With this edition of our 3rd star system, we're also going to do something that's at the heart of the entire Star Citizen experience, and that is to build it right in front of you. As we have done this year, with the addition of several major locations, such as the Hathor facility or the Lazarus complex, we will continue to unveil new Nyx content throughout the year. It's a slightly different approach to how we deliver Pyro, but we feel this gets the content into your hands sooner and shows our intent as we continue our march towards 1.0. I'm so incredibly proud of the work our teams have done and are continuing to do, and we're excited to have you on this next step of our journey. And as with any journey in Star Citizen, that begins with a little story.
Ja, dann gespannt ich bin.
Ja.
In 2025, we introduced 2 major storylines spanning multiple patches, creating a living backbone for adventure across the universe. The first was Pyro Must Burn. It connected Stanton to Pyro and introduced the Frontier Fighters, who are relentless, brutal, and determined to wipe out any threats that cross them. And with this month's release, you'll now take part in the conclusion to that storyline. The second was Science Run Amok, with the Regen Crisis throwing the Empire into chaos, and you all jumping in to help the various corporations respond. Through that journey, we pulled back the curtain on ASD and its shady practices, uncovering long-forgotten Onyx facilities, and met new characters like Dr. Logan Yorit and Detective Arkham Mella of the Hokro Agency. And just like the Pyro Must Burn storyline carried us into a new system, Science Run Amok is now setting the stage for Nyx, the next step in the larger story we're telling on the road to 1.0. As this new chapter of Star Citizen begins, let's hear from just a few of the team members working to bring this next era of our universe to life.
When the Nyx system was first discovered, the United Empire, or the UE, came out and did scans and kind of found out that the system wasn't really worth settling. The planets were too hard to terraform, the resources were too tough to get, so they opened it up. And one company saw an opportunity where the UE didn't, QV Planet Services. And so they expanded into the system and tried to mine as much as they could, making a very slim margin by the sheer quantity of resources they were pulling out.
The system itself sort of ran its course from sort of a large corporate interest perspective, and then was mostly left abandoned.
Now this ended up being the ideal situation for the People's Alliance, who were a group of revolutionaries who were trying to overthrow the dictatorship of the Messer regime that was going on in the Empire at the time.
So they went to the Nix system and established what became known as Levski. They wanted to make it everything that the UEE wasn't at this time.
They set up what they saw as their ideal society, where everyone's voices would be heard, where everyone would be equal. But they've fallen onto hard times. So Nix today is kind of at an interesting point in its history. Now that the UEE has kind of transformed itself into a democratic society, what is their role? What are the People's Alliance rebelling against? And they still see the Empire as being inherently unfair. They see their role as still trying to create a free and fair society. But on the other hand, they have more problems than ever. And there's new threats lurking around every corner. And they have to ask, are they prepared to handle that? Or do they need to turn to the UEE for help?
Making a star system is, you approach it from kind of two angles in a weird way. What is this system bringing to the gallery? How does this new system plug into it, and what does it bring to the table from a sort of a flavor experience? We want to make sure that whatever it's bringing to the company is unique and has some flair to it.
So the Nix system is a remote system where people want to go and live free outside of the pressure and influence of the UEE. It's a remote and rugged system with a lot of hostility coming from the ever-present threat of Vandal.
It's kind of like a frontier-esque thing. It's not lawless like Pyro, it's just kind of out there.
Das stimmt
Pyro's
also.
more like a Mad Max
Was?
wasteland, and
Vendul.
Nix is more
Vendul
like
greifen dieses
Silverado
System
or
immer
like,
wieder an.
like Deadwood, right? It's kind of like a smaller scope.
The emptiness and the loneliness is the defining factor. You're still going to find gangs, you're still going to find hostile presences, but it's where people go if they want to live off the grid.
The People's Alliance is the main peacekeeping force in Nix.
They were unhappy with the direction that the Empire was going under the Messers. They got out. They said, we're just going to start from scratch, build our own society, but build it the way that we think it needs to be built.
They're not perfect. They're just people, but they're doing their best. They want to help keep Nix safe and make it prosper.
They are trying to do the best that they can, but are faced with the realities of dealing with people, which is tricky.
The Pyro star is quite a warm star. Stanton star is quite neutral. And the Nix is a little bit cooler. The system has its star, and it has this dark, really, really dense gas, sort of nebulous cloud. And it has points of light scattered around it, and those points of light in this gas cloud is really, really hazy.
Oh, wunderschön.
So because Nix is bordering Vandal space, it was important that we have a gap in the Nix gas cloud where you could sort of just, in between the clouds, see a piece of the Vandal space. It feels so close that it's even like protruding some red light. The level designers are using it as an actual visual indicator of where to place more dangerous POIs. So if you point your ship in the direction of it, you should find, as we build it out, that you will be in more and more danger. And I think that's really cool. To give more atmosphere, I was testing out adding some sort of space snowflakes, essentially. So when you look towards the sun, you can sort of see that sort of like sparkle But then when you look away from the sun, you'll see the reflections and sort of like little glints of light. For the jump points in Nyx, we'll have 2 on this release. We'll have one from Pyro to Nyx and one from Stanton to Nyx. It should be going from Nyx to Castra, but we're essentially bypassing Castra temporarily.
Hey, we want to make sure you can get there any way you want.
Glacian Belt is a huge asteroid belt that is in sort of the middle of the system.
Glacian Belt is a combination of a bunch of technologies that we already had. The asteroid fields we use for planetary rings and the gas clouds, and it's combining them to make something completely new that we've just not seen before.
It's full of resources that are still left unharvested because it's kind of a tricky spot for mining. It's not the easiest place to go, but that means that there's still a lot of opportunity for independent miners to go out there.
So the rocks in Nyx are a bit more sharp, like sorts of like icy look, rocky, cliff-like, very different from those in the Pyro and the Stanton.
One of the big differences too is all of that extra added movement that just adds a little bit of extra flair.
It's also a good hiding spot for people who are trying to elude capture, maybe set up ambushes, that type of stuff.
I always feel way more interesting flying in those spaces than just, you know, through empty void.
And as we build out the Glacian Belt over the next year, lots of places to put new content.
Delamar is a very large asteroid in the Glacian Belt that QV Planet Services had built a mining base on that got taken over by the People's Alliance and renamed Levski.
Levski is our first and biggest social outpost for Nyx.
It's kind of like the place where you stop before you do your panning. So it's kind of a San Francisco before you go out to the gold rush.
It's going to be the central hub for trade and hauling and all of the commerce within Nyx and also from Nyx to other systems. But it does have a seedy underlayer to it.
Over the years, you're sort of improving the generation method of those asteroids to culminate towards this specific point to make large, explorable location. When you fly towards the Levski, you see this huge gas ring around it, scattered small, mid-sized pieces of the asteroids.
Well, Levski is immediately apparently unique by the fact that it's a facility clamped onto the side of an asteroid. The breathtaking views of looking into the belt instantly gives it a unique charm and flavor.
As you approach, you'll initially see a very dramatic borehole that goes all the way through the asteroid. You'll also see, growing out from there and alongside Levski, there will be landing pads along what I'd call the spine. Lots of industrial pipes and transport systems to bring out the refined mining materials when it was a mining station.
Before, we were using an actual planet, so we had all of the space available to place all of these structures. But now it kind of meant that we had to create an asteroid which has the appropriate size to.
Hier mit
the whole
25
shot
FPS.
of the asteroid, you will see that there's an area to fly underneath.
just my way of being me.
We plan on bringing in full scene gameplay. So this is exterior cargo elevators. So as a team, you will be able to load and unload cargo.
Ich liebe das Teil.
There's a lot more movement on the exterior.
Wunderschön.
Such as
Ich bin so gespannt.
trains going around
Hoffentlich
tracks.
ist die Stadt auch
It's now
schön
going to
drin.
be
Ja,
EVA
hoffe ich auch.
bubble.
Ja, bisher sehen wir nur das
There will be
Äußere, ne?
walkways around the main landing zone to walk on using gravity plates, but you can
Ist das nicht das Video vom letzten Jahr?
go wherever you want.
Weiß ich nicht.
Das sah genauso
It's
aus.
fully
Ja.
The whole place,
Also,
which is great.
ich lehne mich jetzt weit aus dem Fenster, aber es sah genauso aus.
Ist ja der gleiche Ort.
Unlike the majority
Ja, weil
of
das
living
Video.
in Pyro, there are people here in Nyx that care
It's not a downtrodden or
Danke, Psycho. Danke,
derelict, dilapidated location.
Aber Levski hast du
It has
mitbekommen,
a
oder?
sense of order.
Hexi?
Only
Das alte?
Auf jeden Fall.
where
Ja, auf
the
jeden
People's
Fall.
Alliance
Hab's sehr
has
gemocht.
people living.
Hab's sehr, sehr gemocht.
But we've had Levski before.
So, jetzt geht's rein.
We've updated it
Ich
quite
glaube, beim letzten Mal
substantially
ging's auch
to be
noch rein.
more,
Ich weiß es nicht mehr.
in line with the newer features
Nicht,
that
dass
have
ich
been put in
wüsste.
since. But also
Ich habe mir das alte
visually,
Levski
and
mal
there's been a lot of
angeguckt.
quality of life fixes
Wegen
that
der
we've
Statue
wanted
zum
to
Beispiel.
add
Ich weiß nicht, ob ich
and-
die auf der letzten
and
Con
bring
gesehen
up
habe, die
to,
Statue.
like a good standard for a landing zone.
Gracing the main lobby of Levski is a large statue of Anthony Tanaka,
Levski
who
in-game
was a
habe ich-
child worker.
Stimmt, doch, das haben die gezeigt. Du hast recht.
Anthony Tanaka
Ich habe nicht aufgepasst.
Das ist aber das Alte.
Ach, das ist das Alte. Ja, sie sagt, ich erinnere mich. Das habe ich schon mal gesehen.
Oder ist es schon das?
Meinst du, die haben es behalten?
Ja,
Kind of
aber
was
das sieht so
one
alt
of the
aus noch
linchpin
irgendwie. Aber
moments
gut.
in seeing the fall of the Messer regime.
So if you take the
Doch, die haben's
elevator
gezeigt.
up to the top deck, you'll see the top view and the cargo area as well.
Chat, ist das jetzt das
So you go
alte
through
oder
the
das
cargo
Neue?
shop. You've got your normal kind of cargo needs.
Ich glaube, das
You'll
Neue.
have
Das Neue, ne?
Ich ziehe nochmal zurück, gerade mit den Cargo-Shops hier so.
and
Ja.
buy
Es wäre
attractive
dumm, wenn sie ein
gear
altes
and
Video
other
zeigen
gear that
würden.
you need. So if you were to die in the next
Es sei
system,
denn, die haben es
then
übernommen,
one
nur
of the
cooler
places
gemacht.
you might come out from is the hospital in Levski, which is called the
Das musst du mir sagen. War es früher so?
So Mercy Hospital is just basically it's a local med station for all the
Der muss.
residents of Levski.
Oh,
For
base
anybody
potential.
traveling through the system, again, they're trying to provide as good medical help
Sieht
for
gefüllter und
people as they
lebendiger aus. Also das ist auf jeden Fall schon mal alles neu. Das weiß
Okay,
ich. Das
okay,
weiß ich.
okay,
You
okay.
arrive at the hub location. You'll be presented with a lobby, elevator bank,
Okay.
and then you will take
Teufelchen
that
sagt.
schön.
Okay,
to
dann ist das alles neu. Geil.
Ja.
Ich habe mir das so sehr
So
gewünscht.
within that room will be pods.
So ein Zwischending zwischen
where the
der
original
UE
miners would have
und
lived.
Assistenten und Pyro.
They're not the nicest and they're a bit messy, but they're a home for people in Levski. If you head down to the lower view deck, you'll go through into the Grand Barter, which is your main
Das ist
social and commercial area of Levski.
This is where you will see market sellers selling their wares. There will be stalls. There will be kind of more embedded shops.
And that includes things like Corderies, which is your armor shop, and also conscientious objects, which is for weapons. There's also one of my favorite places, Cafe Musée, which is where you can go down into some
Chiller
of the
dude.
more rocky depths and grab yourself a drink, and you never know who you meet down there. If you explore
Bisschen
more along the
Clash-Atmosphäre.
Grand Barter, there's other routes around and little side passages. There's another shop that's away from that area called Teachers.
Teach a Ship Shop is basically where you would go if you were looking to pick up a used ship, buy some ship parts, fix up your old ship, find some new stuff, sell some scrap.
We've closed up Dumpers Depot for Levski, and everything that used to be sold there will now be sold at Teachers. Another new area, as well as the cargo shop that we've added, is the refinery deck for Levski. That's where you can take your processed goods, not just from Levski, but from the rest of the Nix system, and refine and sell those goods there. As a lot of the content in the next coming releases for Nix is going to be mining related. So it's super important that Levski is a really nice hub for mining type of gameplay.
Also stark
Meinen.
auf
Really happy
Mining
to bring Levski back
System
into
so
the game.
ausgelegt.
It's been
Schön.
going for quite a few years now.
Passt ja
I
irgendwie.
think it really
Ich glaube, wegen dem
provided
Ein- und
a unique
Ausladen da.
environment of it's run down,
hol ja endlich
but the
mal
people who
entstauben.
live there love it and are
Hat es überhaupt
working
Monde
their
und so?
hardest to make it a great place to live.
This
Das
is
ist
a
die
location
Frage.
that has a lot of nostalgia.
Gute Frage, wie groß das wird, ja.
And we don't want this just to be a re-release. We do want you to go, wow.
It's not going to be as complete as Pyro was when it first came out,
In einem
but
Monat.
it's going to be our
Woohoo!
first iteration, and you're going to be able to see it grow
Es ist wie einmal
as
schlafen.
we work on it.
Like with everything, we're always learning and improving
In
and
der
finding new ways.
Star-Citizen-Zeit.
I mean, is there anything more
Ist so.
for a citizen than just building the system while the players watch us build it around them?
It's going to add a nice dynamic to Stanton and be a much more calming of style system than Pyro.
The people that would have played it before are going to love to see this come back, And the people that haven't seen it before,
Super.
it's going to be a great.
Ist nicht so groß wie Pyro? Pyro ist riesig.
Touch stuff and kind of bring my own content to the game, and that's really exciting to me.
Levski coming back into the game.
Ich hab doch gesagt, ich hab doch auch gesagt, da kommt was Großes.
Original quite some time ago, so seeing it come back and updated and improved and better is fantastic.
Nächsten Monat, ne? Also
Ja.
nicht in einem, sondern nächsten. Also noch 1,5 Monate im schlimmsten Fall.
Wow. So.
Oh, verstehe.
Das war doch schon mal gut.
Schlimmsten Falle.
Bekommen wir das Datum von Squadron 42 heute? Ja, nein? Was sagt ihr?
Nee,
Ganz schnell.
die haben doch gesagt, die werden nichts dazu sagen.
Ach, ich denke, sie haben gelogen. Ich werde mich
Okay, Daumen drücken.
So let's find out.
Welcome to Nyx is your first experience in a new space station in a new solar system.
It's a mystery to be solved. There's things for the player to explore and look into. There's going to be some twists and turns, of course, some combat, and if you're lucky enough to survive, maybe some good rewards.
This is basically a continuation of kind of our ASD storyline. So in the closing out what we had called our Science Run Amok storyline, we had revealed that ASD had been procuring sort of very black market illegal stuff in order to conduct their experiments. So this mission is basically going to be continuing on that trail.
So the Navy has learned that illegal tech is being sold in the UAE, and they're hiring Intersect to investigate. Intersect Defense Solutions is the leading military defense contractor in the UAE. So the Navy contracts with them a lot for doing various kind of military operations that they don't want to handle themselves. We didn't want players to be working directly for the Navy. The Navy just doesn't call up random citizens and ask like, hey, if you're free, can you fly a helicopter? I guess as a player, when you can think about like, oh, where am I going to be doing missions that are capital ship battles or large fleet scale stuff or military operations, that's all going to come from Intersect Defense Solutions. Intersect have discovered the source of the illegal tech is in the Nyx system and an old abandoned QV Planet Services logistics station that's come back online.
So they want the players to figure out what's going on.
So when you come out of Quantum and you start your approach vector to the objective, you'll be weaving through asteroids, going through the Glacian Belt, and slowly the station will reveal itself. Now this is an old QV logistics station. It's pretty beat up, it's pretty derelict, but there's some points of interest that you'll spot as you go through. So the station itself shares design cues from old Pan Am stations found in Pyro. This architectural design found its way over to the Nyx system as the system was being established. But you'll also see some additional design cues that QV Planetary Services were adding, so it's a nice transition architectural point. It's fairly skeletal in design. You'll see logistics yards and cargo yards, but also facilities pinned inside the asteroid, creating this network of facilities. You'll notice there's a Polaris near the main hub. It's not a normal Polaris. It's damaged, it's broken. It's not a standard corporate Polaris. So at this point, you should be asking yourself, who does this belong to? Away from the Polaris, you'll see struts leading to asteroid bases. Now, these asteroid bases are locked, so you don't know exactly what's inside just yet. But all of this comes together to form the playground for the mission to take place. So not only is this facility unabandoned, but it's also under attack from a surprising but familiar foe.
Was wer? Mehr Copy-Paste, Black Jaguar, komm. So.
Ich wusste es.
Vendul?
Das sind Vendul, ja.
Kommt die jetzt ins Spiel nächsten Monat?
Oh, das wäre so geil.
Nein. Ach komm. Das ist eher eine menschliche Gruppierung.
Meinst du?
Oh.
Es kommt.
Das sind auf jeden Fall Vendul-Schiffe.
Oh.
Ja.
So the Vandal are
a
nomadic, very, very, very violent spacefaring race.
Ja, doch. Stell dir vor, du bist auf einer Station und dann laufen die dort rum. Finde ich voll cool.
FPS wäre das geil. In Space.
Vandal raiding parties have been arriving in the system.
Raiding party?
And they're unaffiliated to any clan. Small groups coming in and picking at them. But as time goes on,
Die sind gegen
those
jeden.
raids have getting
Die lassen nicht
bigger
mit sich reden.
and more frequent.
Das wäre cool.
They'll be
Raiding
the
Partys
scythes that
ohne
you're familiar
Mission.
with.
Das wär geil.
Glaives and blades that we all know and hate. And a new craft for the PU, the Vandal Stinger.
Bengel Stinger.
You will be contacted by some civilians on arrival asking you for help.
So at this point, you have a choice. You can either bug out, mission over, or join the fight. This will be the first time since the PU launch that you'll be able to fight against Vandal aggressor ships.
This fight will be intense. The player should be able to deal with them, but they will have to be prepared and they'll have to come back in to fight off this initial wave, and that won't be the end of it.
After you fight off the Vandal ships, the mysterious inhabitants of the station invite you to come on board.
Which Intersect sort of will encourage you to do because it'll help further their investigation against what's happening here, why these QB stations have come back online.
You dock your ship, you board the station, and it turns out the inhabitants here have a real surprise for you.
The player will be immediately ambushed. These guys are not your friends.
Of course, it's not going to be easy because the people that are inhabiting the station are going to fight
Geile
you every
Outfits.
step of the way.
The fight will be challenging, but this definitely will be the warm-up phase of this mission. This will be the players getting a sense of what exactly is going on there, who these new people are. They'll be in unfamiliar armor. They'll be wielding unfamiliar weapons. And we want you to get a sense that you are in a new place, in a new territory, fighting a new faction.
So after you survive this initial ambush, you get back in touch with Intersect, and obviously the question is, who are these people? Why are they attacking? Why are the Vandal attacking them?
At this point, there's more going on here than anyone thought. The directive from Intersect is to explore the station and collect as much information as you possibly can.
Geheimnisse.
Along the way, you're going to get to explore some new areas.
It's not just the space station. There's the disabled capital ship. There's asteroid bases nearby with obvious installations there, other forces that the Vandal have been attacking.
Super.
There's a debris field.
Explore the locations in any order you want and try to find out who these people are and why the Vandal are after them.
You'll find new clues. You'll find
Geil,
ways to
noch ein
solve the
PvE.
puzzle of what's going on at the space station and find out what kind of loot they have for you.
Was bedeutet mehr Diversifizierung von Orten?
And
Das
of
finde ich
course,
super.
this is a legally open station, so anything you find is yours to keep and sell, maybe even give to Wickle.
Ah, looten.
This isn't just a one-time event, this is a permanent sort of mission that we're going to be adding to the game.
Scammer.
You can go back and repeat this mission and find ways to do it even better, even faster. There'll be a different story and different flavor. Obviously, we can't have the same thing happen every time. There'll be other missions that Intersect will offer to you based on the evidence that you found.
Now you know the real story, and you can start digging and giving more information to Intersect along the way.
Wie er sich immer mutet. Ich will auch wissen, worüber er redet.
Ich habe nur Solodis geantwortet hier. Der hat gemeint, bei ihm wird es anders aussehen. Das ist alles so Cinematic Trailer. Natürlich, natürlich. Aber kommt auf die Kamera
I'm excited to
an.
bring cool Vandal ship combat to SC.
Players in the PU will now get a face down these awesome ships and get a taste of like we already have it in Arena Commander where you get to fight the Vandal swarm, and being able to do that in the PU is going to be, I think, a heck of a lot of fun.
Ja. Ob da Vandal drinstecken? Ja, bestimmt, oder?
Oh, das wäre ja cool.
Not only pushing hard
Kann man
and
die
adding
looten?
great content to the game, we're also being able to introduce the next star system and introduce
Sind die nicht riesig? Kann man doch nichts mit anfangen.
new stories.
Ja, die Zähne so für eine Kette oder so.
Into the
Ich schenke dir so eine Vandal-Kette. Also willst du nicht? Okay, dann schenke ich dir den Diamonds.
If you're at
Ja,
one of the
ich
Watchparties,
nehme die.
please
Ich
raise
nehme
a
auch
toast
Ohren.
to the great work that all the teams have been doing this year. And I'll be right back in just a few minutes to look ahead at some of the things coming in 2026.
2026? Ooh.
Hello,
Jetzt
everyone!
kommt die nächste.
And welcome to the Voyager
Also, das ist
Bar in
nice.
beautiful scenic Orzon.
Das ist so
where the staff of
hübsch.
Cloud Imperium Games Manchester is gathered for
Manchester.
their very own CitizenCon Direct Watch Party.
Da ist noch voll viel Platz, warum sind wir nicht da?
Aber ehrlich, Manchester, warum sind wir nicht da?
At locations around the world, we've gathered today to watch this sneak peek at just a little of what the next year of Star Citizen has in store for everyone. Oh, that was really good, everybody. I'm Jared Huckabee, your host for the festivities and for the show today. And let me tell you, it's not a joke, it's not a gag.
Ja,
Next week,
Solidus,
we're hitting
das
our
habe ich
ninth
gedacht.
patch in 10 months. And then in November, we're going to finish out the year strong with the long-awaited arrival of the Nix system. And in case you missed it, because you were chatting with friends, hi. It's not the lawless wasteland of Pyro many folks have been speculating, but an independent system with its own set of rules and laws and multiple ways to get there. It's an exciting time for everyone at Cloud Imperium Games because, as the architects of our persistent universe said at the start of the show, the foundational tech that we've been building for so many years has now unlocked us to bring more to Star Citizen than ever before as we continue our journey towards 1.0. Now, before we continue with the show, let's get a few housekeeping tasks out of the way. First, we're simulcast on YouTube and Twitch. So if you want the keen communities of Twitch or the 4K ultra high resolution of YouTube, you have your choice. Second, throughout the broadcast today, we want to see and hear what you have to say along the way, and you can tell us on social media by using hashtag CitizenCon. We're especially interested to see photos from these watch parties that are happening across the globe. We're going to find some way to bring a few of them into the broadcast later in the program. Third, we've also had a CitizenCon contest going for people to create their very own slice of life in the PU videos, and we played the winning entries during our pre-show countdown. The offerings were super varied. The idea was to work with a team to show the life of a miner or a hauler or a bounty hunter or whatever. But one guy just said, I'm going to make a video about how awesome I am. And I respect that. So shout out Nocturnal Revenant. I don't remember if you were one of the winners getting an L21 Wolf from Kruger for their efforts, but you won the coveted Disco Lando Complete Narcissist Award. Good job. And to all the winners, I'm sure someone will either be in touch with you about your wolves or they'll just show up on your accounts. I really don't know how that process works. Probably would have been good to find out before the show, huh? Oops. He's so afraid. Either way, if you missed the pre-show and are curious if you won, you can check the replay after we're done here today.
Ist kaputt gemacht.
All right. I just realized that my bosses, Chris and Sandy, are sitting in a movie theater watch party in Switzerland right now. A completely captive audience. The scenes here.
Ja, das
This is
eine
especially torturous for Chris right now because he's super excited about the next segment we've got coming up. Aren't you, Chris? And you're just sat there right now, forced to watch and listen to anything I say. Do either of you regret that decision so long ago? All right, so I've probably pushed my luck enough. Let's get to the next thing. When Nix arrives next month, it'll have Levski, the Glacium Belt, and the new Welcome to Nix operation we just discussed. But throughout 2026, we'll also continue to build the star system out with new features and new technologies that will not only set Nix apart and give it a unique identity from its sibling star systems, but continue to set Star Citizen apart from other video games altogether. Now, at this point, if you're running one of the watch parties, you're going to want to crank your speakers up for some brand new music from the Maestro Pedro himself. And let's take a look at some of what the next year has to offer for the Nix system.
Oh. Ich muss meinen Job kündigen. Ich muss meinen Job kündigen. Ich muss meinen Job kündigen. Ich muss meinen Job
We
kündigen.
believe art inspires the best technology, and through the development of that technology, it pushes us to create even better art. When Genesis comes to the persistent universe starting next year, it will change how you experience every world, and not just in the building of the new planets for the Nix system. We will also go back through Stanton and Pyro and reimagine them through the lens of our technology. Previously, and more traditionally, we'd create slices of biomes, like deserts or forests. This approach moved us forwards and got us this far, but solving the scale was always tricky. And for Star Citizen, we like to do scale on another level. Issues like seeing tiling from our height maps from high altitude,
Okay.
or the unpredictable blending when two biomes connected were common. But ultimately, things just never felt right. Our worlds were gorgeous, but to us, they still sometimes felt like interpretations. Now, this was a super hard problem, which we needed to solve at the scale for Star Citizen requires. We challenged ourselves to emulate nature in the most believable way, and not just on a planetary scale, but to our level of detail.
Oh Gott, die übertreiben. Die Natur.
With Genesis,
Das ist für
we've
nächstes
made a
Jahr.
complete
Nächstes
paradigm
Jahr, ja.
shift to how we do things. Biomes are now created based on the physical
Die Genesis
data
hat nächstes
sets,
Jahr angekündigt.
with the assets being
zumindest die
spawned
Entwicklung hier.
whenever and wherever
Natur.
the correct criteria is found.
Tiere! Oh nein.
So when you see a forest or a meadow,
Aber
it's
die Vegetation
no
sieht super
because
aus.
an artist painstakingly crafted it there. It's now because
Wie
it simply
divers.
wants
Guck dir
to
das
be
mal an.
there. It
Keine
fits
0815
inside
Bäume
our
mehr.
rules. Genesis
Also ich
also
bin ein bisschen
ties
technischer.
into our
Ich will
other
wissen, ob ich an den
gameplay
Bäumen immer noch
systems.
hängen bleibe, wenn ich da
On
irgendwie...
new planets,
Ja, sterbe.
from the information we create for our
Das sieht
different
fast
data
echt aus.
sets, like height maps, humidity, temperature, soil type,
Oh.
soil mass, geology erosion data, to name but a few. This means you can now tell where to find valuable minerals as the geology looks like it would be suitable for it. Where scree piles exist below sheer cliff faces, and where rocks have broken off over time due to erosion. Of course, these new tools still give us the ability to direct the look and feel we want. The
Krass,
attention to
Meng ist so.
detail from the tallest mountain to the
Psycho, ja,
smallest
genau.
flower is still our core DNA. With Genesis, we can now keep that detail-orientated mindset as we focus on the quality, and it provides the quantity. Genesis provides our planets with the ultimate sense of exploration and adventure, discovery in the purest emotional form. We want you to find that perfect place, with the planets providing an abundant resource to harvest. This is a major part of what exploration is for us. We want that feeling of finding a corner of the universe that you'll fall in love with, and where you want to settle down and build your home.
Die Musik.
Now I'm going to hand
Base
you over to
building.
Will
Gebt euch alles, was ihr
into
braucht.
what we
Steht da
have
jetzt eine
built
Basis
that
oder
allows
was?
Genesis to realize
Ich hoffe.
our vision.
Oh Gott, auch schön,
As
dass
a
du da
reminder,
bist.
some of the
Er hat das
visuals
gerade
you'll see
gesagt.
will evolve and
Ja,
change as we
Ey, das
continue
ist doch
our
nicht mehr Star
technological
Citizen. Guck dir das mal an.
and hone in
Einfach
on the
nur,
final
oh
look for
Gott.
Nyx.
Gras, ich sehe überall Gras.
Gehen wir demnächst
Ich
spazieren,
erwarte,
oder
dass,
was?
Thanks,
ich
Ian.
erwarte, dass ich da
So,
einen
in case it's not
Dinosaurierkopf
already
sehe,
clear,
der
Genesis is our name for a group of technologies that are improving our ability to build worlds, refining those that we've already created, and ultimately expanding our persistent universe to the scale and quality that we all expect. I work on planet tech, so let's talk about how that's continued to evolve since our presentation last year. And instead of just highlighting some really cool biomes that we can create, let's go ahead and show how all this work applies to the upcoming planets of Nyx. So there are 3 planets in Nyx.
Ey, okay,
Nyx 3
ich bin schon
is
gar nicht mehr
a gas
unzufrieden.
giant, and I
War
think
ich auch
it's
gar nicht.
blue. It's not going to surface. I don't really know.
2026 ist bald, ne?
Ja, ja, ja.
Nyx 2 is a
Auch so eine
yellow,
Sache.
toxic. It's got like this high pressure
Concept art.
atmosphere, and it's like a very volatile planet with high risk reward gameplay. It's going to have some really interesting biomes for you to discover, but for now, just know it's going to be dangerous, because today we're going to focus on what we consider to be the hero planet of this system. Nyx 1 has got a rugged, remote beauty. It's got a diverse set of biomes, from weathered rocky mountain ranges to vast sweeping forests and grasslands, and from damp, expansive wetlands to claustrophobic
Ich will
festering
ein Haus.
swamps.
Im Sumpf.
These core biome concepts give us a fantastic platform to hone our technology. In some cases,
Schwer zu
because the
raiden.
current tech couldn't do them at all.
4K. In 4K muss man das spielen. Spielt ihr 4K? Haben wir den Chat damit 4K, 2K?
So, let's approach this planet in much the same way that you, the player, will, from orbit.
Also, wir reden jetzt über einen Planeten. Das ist jetzt aber nicht. Das ist einfach nur so, ne? Oder wo kommt das hin? Ich hab jetzt den Faden verloren.
Ich auch, der hat mich voll abgehängt. Ich war noch am Verarbeiten.
Ich habe jetzt auch nicht zugehört, zu wem der Planet gehört.
Chat, weißt ihr das? Schreibt es einfach rein, wir können das ja alle lesen.
Stanton? Und Nyx? Nyx?
Das ist Nyx immer noch.
Das ist der Hero-Planet.
Also die 2 Stationen und dann dieser Planet, oder was?
Ja, bisher. Aber erst im nächsten Jahr.
Da ruft einfach ein neuer Planet auf, oder was? Überraschung.
We then assess the presence of vegetation and competition between different species on each part of the planet and use that to blend in tones of green, including variations due to species health and current season.
Frische Luft in-game.
It's a far more complete image and allows you to identify features, geologies,
ja, danke.
Wir können den Planeten live darstellen. Dieser Planet ist in Nyx. Aber Nyx kommt doch jetzt schon. Okay, und den werden sie aber dann schöner machen. Ach nee, Quatsch, das ist ein neues Panel. Sie waren ja eigentlich fertig damit. So.
Nee, die haben gesagt, das kommt 2026.
Boah, ich will auch in 4K spielen. Guck mal, wie das in 4K aussieht.
Nyx kommt dieses Jahr, nächsten Monat. Nesta kommt nächstes Jahr und ist das Planetengenerierungssystem. Dann werden alle Planeten sowieso anders aussehen.
Ah, die werden alle angepasst. Ah, das macht Sinn.
We lacked detail at the ground scale. To combat this, we've added a new layer of data. That layer is called medium tiles. These are intelligently placed on top of the existing 4-kilometer terrain tiles based on slope, soil type, and other
color. Ooh.
And these medium tiles don't just create height changes, they also bring in local erosion data both for soil and bedrock size values. And this gives us a whole new level of terrain detail,
Einfach nur geil. Das war aber genau.
and allows us to create far more unique locations.
Ja, die Sache ist halt die, wie sollen wir uns da auf diesem Planeten bewegen, wenn wir weder klettern noch Fallschirme haben?
Kann mich gar nicht bewegen, einfach hinstellen, gucken,
Firstly, long desired feature, cliffs. We are adding large scale, very detail to all our cliffs based on the geology.
Ich glaube, sie wollen sowas wie, wie heißt die Sportart? Wo man so über Hindernisse springt. Sowas wollen sie einführen, ne?
Parkour. Aus dem Schiff rausgeworfen, so. Im ATLS Geo, ja genau.
Wir sind noch nicht mit der ersten Stunde durch.
Yes.
Und das war schon viel, finde ich. Krass.
Na. Mehr.
Bisher sind das alles nur Orte.
Gib uns mehr.
The rock assets themselves have had a glow up too.
Freundin sagt mir gerade, ich soll nicht
We now
schmatzen.
create rock sets.
Look
like they originated from the same source.
Gönn dir.
And this ties into how we'll be distributing minables in much more interesting ways too.
Ach, wie schön das aussieht.
Ja.
Ich wollte nicht emotional
So now that our
werden.
base
Ich bin
terrain
stark.
rock scattering looks good, let's add some vegetations and explore some additional.
Ja, Solidus, genau das.
Das ist, oh Gott, da lege ich mich auf die Wiese und. Mit mir wird man nichts viel anfangen können. Ich werde durch die Wälder rennen. Ich werde meine MMORPG immer haben.
Rock formations. And they're found in all sorts of elevations, like mountain valleys, open plains, and dense meadows. And when we start to add a bit of fresh water, they begin transitioning into more wetland-type biomes.
Wird Zeit fürs Basebuilding, mal ganz ehrlich.
Super cool.
Gerne auch Basics. Auch kein Leben mehr.
Noch mit Tiere? Wäre gut so, Wölfe und sowas, keine Ahnung. Also, Space-Wölfe.
Alles, ja.
Viel zu hübsch.
Because until now, we haven't been able to spawn grass in large enough quantities or effectively represented at distance. So we're stepping up our game in terms of spawning, shaping and shading
Ihr Lieben, wir haben
grass.
geteilten Chat. Macht mal richtig Stimmung mal bitte. Plus, 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 wenn ihr bisher zufrieden seid. Minus, 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 wenn ihr noch wartet, dass noch was kommt.
Of assets across all biomes.
Ich gebe mal jetzt auch ab hier.
Whether it be dense meadows or more complex collections of ground cover like you can see in these wetlands.
Niemand
we
ist
are also
negativ,
able
ist
to
schon mal
fit our
schön.
grass tiles to the ground by conforming them to the unique terrain underneath. Now we can finally cover complex terrain shapes with grass and ground cover assets. And as a result, they are now gravity aligned, meaning each blade is oriented as you'd expect and not sticking out like before. Next, let's take a look at how we light our grass.
Guck mal, bleib nicht an jedem Grashalm hängen.
The shading of a grass blade, or indeed a whole field of grass, is lit very differently to like a flat surface. We now use a solution that shades meadows of grass far more
Doch
like
nicht wahr.
fur
Habt ihr so ein
or hair.
Gras schon mal irgendwo
And this, if
gesehen?
you think about it, makes sense. At a
Wie es jetzt
distance, a
dargestellt wird?
field of grass is far more like a carpet or cloth than a flat surface.
Frage.
This improves how our grass looks from a near perspective, as well as bringing us nicely into how we're solving the distant.
So viel Unkraut. Oh mein Gott. Arg ist so.
Let's talk about the distance.
Ich wollte es jetzt nicht sagen. Psst.
Sieht arg so ähnlich aus, ja?
One of our biggest
In
achievements
4K VR.
Genesis
Wunderschön.
is allowing us to build beautiful biomes out of flora and geology assets like a building set. Like, can I say Lego?
No.
Too late. But in the past, this broke down very quickly when objects simply disappeared when viewing the same biome from 10, 20, 100 kilometers away. Because we don't hide planetary transitions and allow you to view complex regions from very large distances, there are almost infinite perspectives from which you can see a location in Star Citizen. So, how can we afford to evaluate complex spawning logic at runtime for the entire swathes of the planet? Enter the virtual terrain. Virtual terrain, or VT for short, is how we now cache and represent our terrain at varying scales. This has been the enabler for all of the lovely advances in terrain complexity and asset spawning we've shown so far. And it's also how we now evaluate and represent vegetation from a distance. When creating the VT for each part of the terrain, we assess if vegetation has covered the ground, and if so, what shading should be applied.
Schwieriges Thema.
For all of our biomes, we're now able to use the same
Sehr
shading
trocken.
model for the distant representation as the close-up asset, whether that's our lovely rolling hills,
Okay.
some more dramatic rockscapes,
Ja, aber wenn sie mir die Bilder geben, dann
those
ist
muggy
okay.
wetlands.
Ich finde aber die
Or
Rocks
even
nicht so gut gelungen wie die
festland
Wälder
swamps.
eben. Und das, ja, ist auch okay.
So,
Ich würde gerne wissen,
yeah,
wie viel
we
Verzögerung
didn't
jeder von
forget
uns
about
hat
the
und wer
swamps.
das
And
Bild
they're
am
coming to
ehesten
next one
sieht.
as well.
Ich sag euch, was ich sehe
Built
und dann
using
sagt
the
ihr, ob ihr es schon davor
lessons
gesehen habt.
learned and all
Achtung,
the
wenn der
technology
nächste
we've
Schnitt
developed,
kommt.
these swamps
Jetzt.
now spring into
Die
existence
Kamera fast
from
noch
the
mal.
planetary
Ja,
data.
okay, check.
This biome combines all of the elements from the other biomes we've shown you today, from water interaction, denser spawning, unique ground coverage, and I think it creates something really unique.
Guck mal, was da hinten ist. Da hinten ist ja was.
Das sieht aus wie mein Dinosaurier.
Ja, ja, genau.
Anyway, that's our update on the Planet Tech portion of
So,
Genesis
fertig.
and how
Ah,
we're using
ah,
it
nee, doch
right
nicht.
now to sculpt the identity of Nix1. And I hope you're as excited as we are to explore this and everything we haven't shared yet next year.
As you can see, Genesis is now inspiring
Ey, Daimos macht mich so hungrig, ey. Guckt ihm die ganze Zeit beim Essen zu.
Unbelievability.
Schrecklich.
Das.
Du weißt schon, dass ich das auf YouTube später hochlade, ne?
That I truly believe
Jeder wird dann
will
wissen,
set our
der
world
Esser.
apart from anything we've
Jeder wird
done
dann wissen,
before.
dass meine Freundin
And with
hervorragend
that
kochen
said,
kann.
let's
Finde ich
move
super.
on to a little travel between systems, literally.
Und dass ich gut essen kann.
Up until now, our mission system has been specific to the star system you're in, meaning a Stanton mission has to take place in the Stanton system, and a Pyro mission has to take place there. We've never been able to link these together, but with the introduction of our third star system, it's time for this to change. And that begins with the introduction of interstellar cargo.
What are you talking about today?
System-to-system hauling missions. Hauling is back.
No one said hauling was gone. You guys even play the game?
Jawohl.
These
Hauling
are
is back,
exactly
ja,
what they
schauen
say
wir
on the
mal.
tin. Missions where you're going to start in, say, Stanton and end in Nix, taking various volumes of cargo between the stations.
Oh, wow.
So there'll be high volumes of cargo that kind of fulfill the purpose for the Hull C and the other series of Hull ships. And there'll be a few sort of more direct routes.
So you
Da
might
wird
pick up
vielen das
some
Herz aufgehen.
Cargo from Ruin Station in
Mein
Pyro.
größtes Hauling-Schiff
and go
oder
through the
Frachtschiff
jump
ist die
point to
erste Art.
Stanton
Was anderes habe ich
and
nicht.
drop it off there at one of the LEOs.
Autoload.
So if you've never sort of experienced the jump point or going through it,
Habt ihr
these missions
Joysticks?
will require
Ja.
you to.
Selbstverständlich.
They're no way limited.
Sag
You
mir.
can do them in any sort of ship you want, any size of ship. I'll be doing them in my Drake cutter myself, between Stanton and Nix.
Just a Drake cutter.
I've got a few ships, but the Drake cutter is really cute, so.
One thing that we're looking to add with these interstellar missions is
Frag ich auch.
scripted combat encounters where you can be attacked by
Das ist für mich der
NPC ships.
VW-Bully
Maybe
des
the mission
Universums.
giver has
Das
tipped
Ding
off
nehmen,
some
packen
pirates who
Sachen
are
rein
looking to
und
get a
off-grid.
hold of that
Mega.
cargo, as well as express missions, which means the deadline timers that you're used to in the regular hauling missions might get really tight and you've got to learn to be very fast. All of the love and care that has gone into hauling missions so far, with the logistical network and making sure they make sense within the themes of the systems, just as much love has gone into the interstellar missions we're making now.
At the start of the show,
Interstellare
we said we was going to
Missionen.
build
Wir
out the Nix
haben 3
system
Systeme
right
schon
in front
bald.
of you
Wahnsinn.
after 4.4 launches next month, and why we want to keep as much of what we're doing behind closed doors so you can discover it for yourself in-game and on your own. We still are excited to share with you a brief look at one of our up-and-coming locations we're calling Rockcracker.
Rockcracker.
Was ist das?
Okay, so Rockcracker, Jared,
Stimmt,
is our
guck mal,
internal
das
name.
zerfasert genauso.
Rockcracker
Wow.
is where you
Zerlesen.
have to crack a rock.
Wow.
It's a big rock.
Ja.
You want more?
So way out into the Kiga Belt, you'll find
ich
these
hab-
old QV breaker stations.
Wer von euch kennt das?
Ich habe jetzt auch eine Vision.
Wie bei Elite Dangerous. Das Asteroidenknacken mit den Sprengladungen.
These are originally industrial
Das ist so feiern.
facilities
Das will ich
breaking
meine.
apart large asteroids and mining them down. But since they've been mothballed and been left abandoned,
Boah, wie riesig das
you're
ist.
gonna have to find your way
Die muss man
inside,
erst mal dahin
thinking
schleppen.
about
Aber
how to
ehrlich,
bring this
da ist
facility
jetzt die
back
Frage.
to life. It's not just about flipping a switch. As you bring these stations back to life, you'll be lighting the beacon and calling attention to these long forgotten places.
One of the main features is the laser head, which will require certain things to get working. It's up to you and your friends to find how to get in.
PvP-Miner.
There'll be a
oder was?
variety of
Och
options.
no. What?
Whether you're discovering the bowels of the station and
Ja, oder
mining
mit
your way
Geleitschutz
through
halt.
long forgotten tunnels, or you're going through the main laser entrance.
Ui. Also auch so Exploration zu Fuß. Oder
Now,
was?
as you're traversing through the facility, you'll find the old engine room. Now, there may be ways
Ah, das
to
heißt, der
bring
Stein
the
ist dann schon da,
facility
den
back
muss man
to
eigentlich
life,
bringen.
kickstart the engines,
Es geht um Exploration da
bring
drin.
power to different parts of the facility.
Also wird es auch geben,
Maybe
so wie es
eventually
aussieht.
bringing the laser back online and cracking some rocks.
The secondary
Na,
gameplay
wie so ein
loop
DLC oder
is
sowas. Oder,
FPS
ne? Also
combat. You're
wie so
not
eine
there
neue
by yourself.
Location.
There may be squatters and outlaws in these stations trying to stop you from what you want to do.
Ja, 2026.
So you
Ja.
found these old facilities.
Das
You've
sieht aus wie
brought them
Thron.
back to
Oh, der
life.
neue, der kommt, wird auch ganz gut.
You've systematically brought power to various functions of the facility. You've activated the laser. You've fired the laser. You've broken apart the rock.
Todessteinlaser. So sieht's aus.
And then you'll be able to fly your ship inside and see what's there.
Wow.
So you fly a ship into an asteroid.
Was? Geil.
Yeah. You just get into your ship and fly in and start searching around and trying to find the pieces that you want to mine.
Oh, wow. No way.
So, das ist cool.
I'm really excited about
Aber das ist eigentlich wie
Rockhacker,
Hardcore,
'cause it's
ne?
a
Du musst Laser
sandbox
aktivieren, damit du
activity.
irgendwo ein Loch hast, damit du da rein kannst.
Richtig, richtig. Selbes Prinzip. Ähnlich.
This content is for players who enjoy mining, who enjoy exploration, investigation, and don't mind a little bit of FPS content while they're there.
Mhm. Also, da holt ihr mich
It
ab.
will be
Kann ich machen.
very new experience.
Ja, okay, mich auch,
compared to
aber
any other
wie ist die
asteroids, because this
PvP-Komponente
one,
da?
kind of like Alan and mine, will crack open and show its secret.
And one presumes you can make a decent amount of scratch in an asteroid that's big enough you fly your spaceship into it.
It wouldn't be worth doing if you couldn't make a good amount of coin. Yeah.
Making promises for the econ team.
Yeah. They've got to balance it.
It's for people who
Sehr kreativ.
a lot of minerals. When crafting comes in, when all the other mechanics and features that we want in the game for 1.0 come in, it will be a place where like an organization or a group of like 5-6 people could come and just get a monumental amount of minerals.
Psycho, das habe ich auch.
So,
Also ich
that's a
mache die
look
Vorarbeit
at
gerne.
some of
FPS
what's
ist
coming
und Exploring ist
over
genau
the
mein
next
Ding.
12 months. In addition to what we've shown, there'll be new mission packs tailored to the People's Alliance and their struggles. There'll be events that invest you into the evolving storyline of all 3 systems we'll have in the game. And of course, when we begin populating these with new planets, there'll be a whole host of ground-based POIs, settlements, and structures inhabited by those trying to make their way in the verse. And all of this in service of building star systems that complement the massive corporate yard of Stanton, the lawless ganking of Pyro, and now the new frontier of discovery for the Nyx system. Should I say ganking?
You already did.
Online.
Good job, everyone. So yeah, a whole lot to take in there. Interstellar hauling is the beginning of a massive expansion to the mission system that'll let us connect these 3 star systems like never before. What else we got? Rockcracker. Rockcracker is just one of the next operations that'll be coming to the Nyx system in the first half of next year, where you're gonna fly into an asteroid and do that thing that miners love more than anything else. Complain about PvPers getting in their way. No, I'm being told it's mining. It's mining. And of course, one of the most anticipated features coming to Star Citizen, Genesis, and what that means for the planets of Star Citizen, including the ones already in there. So let's talk to Will Hain and find out more. And just remembering that Will Hain is in France at the Watchparty. Okay, France. Ask Marty Hardfast over there how they're going to use Genesis to update the planets and moons of Stanton to get back.
Ich habe keine Ahnung, warte mal mit.
Im Chat.
What else we got?
Ach so.
The CitizenCon digital goodies pack. That's a hard thing to say. That went up for sale a couple weeks ago and has a whole bunch of mysterious items in it. And that's where I can tell you now that almost all of them are tied to the Nyx system in one way or another. So let's find out what's actually in there. There's a gunship flight suit and helmet. 2 armor
Das ist das Outfit.
mysterious faction causing a ruckus with a Vanduul.
Habt ihr euch das
An
gekauft?
Intersect BDU sweater and outfit.
Nee, aber
A
das
couple
wurde
of
gerade im
crazy
Video
weapons that
gezeigt.
I'm certain we're going to learn about in just a few minutes.
Oh,
Some
das
slick
Plüschtier.
swag, and finally, to celebrate the long-awaited edition of the Vanduul to Star Citizen, a cool
Levski-Plakat.
plushie, which I swear to love and squeeze and cherish forever. So yeah, it's a pretty solid haul for this year's digital goodies pack, which you can still pick up right now on the RSI store. So now, let's go ahead and transition into our next segment. Much of what you see in the show today has been the culmination of a lot of people's work Yeah.
Oh, wie
Okay,
cool.
So against everyone's better judgment, the thing has finally happened. Can I help you?
How you think the show's going?
Good. We're getting the Nyx star system and the Vanduul are coming.
Kind of been a lot of Nyx, right?
Well, yeah, but it's a major milestone and it deserves a major showcase celebrating everybody's hard work. And
you got more, right?
Well, yeah, there's spaceships coming up.
Cool.
Wow, it's like they only scanned the original community portion of me. If pictures steal your soul, imagine what face scanning in PCAP does.
Well, this has been super cringe. So I'm gonna head out.
Bye.
Oh, regular CitizenCon is still better.
Ja, ist gut gelungen.
You should have done that.
Of course. Thank you. Part of me that isn't a soulless marketing puppet. All right.
Ja.
No. No.
No.
No. Let's just go to some spaceships, shall we?
Hi, my name's John Crew. I'm the vehicle director here at CIG, and welcome to Talking Ship,
Schiffe.
where we're going to talk about 3 new ships coming to the persistent universe.
Schiffe!
Juhu.
Wo ist meine Paladin?
Portemonnaies zumachen, alles zumachen. Bestimmt nach der Con schon irgendwas zum Kaufen. Wenn nicht jetzt schon im Shop.
The last year has been pretty hectic in terms of vehicle deliveries. I think we've delivered the most we've ever done in a 12-month period, and we've covered all the way from tiny little snubs all the way up to capital ships.
We've kind of filled out a few little gaps. We've introduced some new ships by some old manufacturers.
We had the Polaris come out, and obviously people have enjoyed playing with that. We snuck the Idris in without none of you expecting it for a while, and it's been a busy year. It's nice to start revisit some of the older catalogue and some of the bigger ships again.
I think my favourite ship from the last year is a tie between the Wolf and the Golem.
Favourite ship in the last year? Probably the Wolf.
I feel like it's the obvious one. I'm trying to think of something else, but I really like the Wolf.
Everyone's mentioning the Wolf. The Wolf's everyone's favourite.
The Wolf, obviously.
Nicht jeder mochte die Wolf.
Oh, die ist so schön.
Ich bin begeistert. Ja.
Ich auch.
It was kind of everything we set it out to be, and it revived an old manufacturer.
Die Lackierung ist wichtig, finde ich.
So, yeah, I'm going to say the Wolf.
The Golem, I think, is just an incredibly well-formed ship in such a small package. It really just
Bei der Golem habe ich mich gefragt, warum sie dann noch neue Steine reinbringen, aber gut.
To perform a role.
I honestly do really like the Zeus. I think it came out really well. It's kind of hard to pin down a favorite, to be honest.
Das ist doch kein Vergleich.
Zeus haben sich so viele gefreut.
Ja, ich habe sie mir gekauft.
Ja.
Mein einziges Schiff.
Ich hab jetzt 2 Zeus gekauft und habe beide eingeschlossen.
Maybe some ships from some manufacturers that don't have that many in their lineup. There's a few big challenging ones starting, so they're good. A breadth of ships, should we say?
The 3 new ships we're going to introduce today all tie in some way to the primary factions fighting over the Nyx system. We'll start with the People's Alliance and Anvil Aerospace.
Anvil Aerospace,
Anvil
ja.
is a very military-based brand.
Ja.
It's been a brand that's in Star Citizen for a long time, fighting for lots of military contracts and
Das ist das Schiff von
often
Dimes.
up against Aegis, and
Okay.
typically actually beat
No.
Aegis in the past.
Ne?
You will
Das,
be
was er gerade
familiar
gesagt
with a lot
hat?
of their ships
Nein.
designs, such as the Hornet and Lightning. Earlier this year, we introduced the Anvil Asgard based on the
Ja.
Valkyrie chassis, which is an
Ja.
extremely popular offering.
Komm, mach mal
This
schneller.
year, we're bringing the concept ship we introduced last year, the Anvil Paladin, to life.
Woohoo!
The Paladin is a gunship from Anvil Aerospace designed to support
Paladin.
ground operations.
A gunship is a
Können wir
ship that's
abhaken.
designed to stay in a sustained firefight while dealing a lot of damage, also taking damage.
We don't have a lot of gunships in the game, the true dedicated gunships. They are quite a tricky archetype to control in game without being too powerful. It's designed with a lot of firepower,
Da freuen
and
sich
high
einige.
armor and health, but very low maneuverability.
It's multi-crew. It's
Haben die gesagt, das Schiff kommt
built
heute?
purely for battle.
Ich hätte gern ein Schiff mit
Lots
Shops
of
drin.
armor, Lots of guns, big guns.
It's got a very similar squat kind of form to the Valkyrie. It kind of reminds
Die
me
Krake
of,
kommt.
I guess, like a pitbull. Obviously, a very menacing
schön.
silhouette.
It looks quite forward-weighted in its stance. It feels like it's coming towards you, even when it's just sat still. And I think that's something that helps with it feeling intimidating.
Stimmt, noch nicht zum Engineering.
If we
Onless.
swing round, following the ship round clockwise.
Das Engineering muss jetzt mal reinkommen.
The side turrets. If you notice the canopy, you'll see that there's a fairly thick space between where the glass is and the whole exterior. That's because it has deployable armor, which can come out and give you a little bit more cover while you're actually attacking the target.
Ich will das Schiff von den Vanduls.
Really nice kind of dual-connected wings with the turrets out on the sides, just to try and give as much kind of range for those turrets as we can get.
which is controlled by
Echt?
one of the 2 remote stations underneath the bridge. If we come around to the rear, you'll see a rail. Now that rail mounts the main turret of the ship, which is controlled by the co-pilot.
So you've got full 360 coverage underneath, full 360 coverage on top with it, and then the side turrets also have 360 coverage that way around and 180 out sideways. So really you have, between the turrets, pretty much 360 coverage in all directions.
Wow. Die Paladin ist gerade im Shop aufgetaucht. Danke,
One of the
Lecky.
neat things about
Danke.
the Paladin is all the turrets are remote and all the crew are located in this one central 2-story room.
A lot of our other gunships, the crew gets scattered across the ship, but with the Paladin, you're all sat together with a nice, cool experience, so you can really feel like you're playing as a group.
You've got the pilot, co-pilot up top, you've got the gunners underneath, and I think that helps with the intention of what the ship does, because you've got this really nice kind of like gunner viewpoint down, kind of giving this lower coverage.
We added a glass floor just to keep the 2 connected. I think that really helps with the feeling that you're all working together and communicating.
That said, if you don't have the ability to fully crew a Paladin, you can still fly it and engage in combat solo.
Obviously not as good as if you have a full crew, but you can't always guarantee your friends are going to be online.
As a solo ship, it's pretty capable of doing a variety of missions within Star Citizen. So if you want to run this ship solo, you can take on combat missions that, say, other heavy fighters like the Scorpius or other ships such as the Drake Cutlass could do. Coming aboard the Paladin, you enter into this sort of armory, ready room area. You have a variety of suit lockers and weapon racks in this room.
Everything's very militaristic, stripped back, simple. It's a very functional space, but you'll find everything you need in there.
One of the improvements from the original concept is we've added a small dedicated cargo bay area, allowing you to store actual SCU crates. Forward of that is the route to the lower gunners, and then upstairs you have the bridge area, and then off that central area you have the dual living quarters, one on the left, one on the right, and then at the rear you have the main sort of engineering area where the majority of the components are. Also within the upper traversal area you also have a little breakout area with seating, food machine, toilets, etc.
I think it's a very cool looking ship. I think we did a really nice job of taking what was there in the concept and adding an extra level of detail and trying to kind of push things forward.
I think it hits the nail in terms of a really solid military ship. It's really complementary to some of the other ships in the Anvil lineup, so something like the Valkyrie, where you've got this big drop
Sieht sehr
ship.
schön aus, finde ich.
The Paladin's there just to
Das sieht so geil
make sure
aus.
it's safe, make sure no one messes with you, and just basically scare people away.
The thing I like most, I think, about the Paladin is that it's very clearly got a crew of 4, and they all kind of work and operate under the same conditions. You know, the pilot, co-pilot, and the 2 gunners, they're basically all equal on the ship. There's one toilet, everyone's got the same style of bunk. When they're at work, everyone's at the front of the ship together.
It's really odd to me that you call that, you like that there's one toilet for 4 people.
Well, you know, it's you all work together. You're all equal at work. You're
The toilet seat never
Ist ja
gets
kein
cold.
Luxushotel.
toilet seat never gets cold. Yeah.
Oh God.
So that's the Anvil Paladin. Whilst originally a military-built craft, it's the
Didn't give us
perfect
a
ship
wish.
for folks on the frontier trying to defend against threats. And talking of threats, let's move to our next ship, a replica from Hesperia. Hesperia are a high-end manufacturer. They specialize in recreating exotic and particularly alien spacecraft.
Effectively what they're doing is they're remanufacturing them, making them a little bit more suitable for kind of human flight. And the latest offering from Hesperia is the Vandal Stinger.
The Vandal are big, scary space aliens. They're like 7-foot-tall, evil war race that sort of take over, steal technology, absorb it, fuse it all together into their own needs.
They are the relatively nasty aliens that you sometimes hear about and haven't seen much of yet. They also make really cool spaceships.
The Stinger as a Vandal heavy fighter was reserved for their higher tier sort of ace pilots or high-ranking members within their clans.
Das will ich haben. Oh mein Gott. Das ist was für mich.
Stinger is a competitor to something like the
Boah,
FA
das sieht so cool aus.
or I guess the Scorpius.
It packs a lot of firepower in quite a large frame, so it's a very, very
Sieht so
tanky
cool aus.
spacecraft. The firepower is almost unrivaled in terms of just both the number and the size of them. So it's there for players who don't want agility. They don't want to be in and out quickly. They want to be there brawling with big guns and taking all the hits. One thing Isperia have done differently with the Stinger is they have done away with the majority of the bespoke weapons.
They heard everyone's complaints about the glaive and blade and have stripped off the original Vandal weapons to allow customization for standard human weapons.
With the exception of the single size 5 gun.
Because it was too well integrated into the hull, even for Isperia to remove.
All the additional weapons are generic mounts, so they can be swapped with any of the existing lineup that we have in the game. By doing this, it provides greater flexibility to the end user, and this is something Isperia wanted for the civilian market. For that one bespoke weapon, the size 5 plasma cannon, functionally it is the same as the existing size 5 plasma cannons on the Scythe and Glaive, but it is a sort of Gen 2 model and wraps it in a different aesthetic compared to those models. You'll see they're very much older Vandal styling. This is much newer Vandal styling, but underneath it is the same weapon that people have used for years.
Our job as the vehicle art team on the PU was to take the Stinger from the squadron team and prepare it for life in the PU. We took an opportunity to take this really well-established art style.
Was habe ich verpasst?
Add extra
Schiff.
where needed.
Ja.
So the exterior is a real blend
Heavy.
of these kind of hard
Heavy
surface,
Fighter.
kind of rare alloyed kind of wings.
Sehr
and
schick.
then underneath this real
Hammer.
kind of organic structure.
Sehr kreativ.
Kind of webs all of the ship together. It connects the thrusters in, it connects all the kind of underside of the vehicle and pulls the whole ship together.
You can tell it's very different from the Vandal ships that are currently in the PU. If you
Richtig.
take, for example, the way the cockpits are constructed.
Up at the front, we've got this big kind of bubble dome that gives the cockpit quite a unique shape compared to some of our
Ich liebe diese
ships, and also gives the
Kreativität, die
pilot
dahinter steckt.
a unique position within the ship and kind of gives great visibility out the front.
Boarding the Stinger is a little unusual compared to other ships, obviously being alien in nature.
You're going through a ramp at the rear, and it leads you kind of straight up into the belly of the ship.
Oh,
There's,
wow.
Lots of organic detail, rib cages, kind
Alle
of
Giga.
strange.
Absolut
uniforms.
meins. Oh mein
On
Gott.
entry of the cockpit, the seat kind of comes down towards
Ich
you,
liebe
and you
das.
kind of climb over the back of it a bit like a motorbike.
You're basically riding into the cockpit. It feels very much like you're being carried inside the cockpit.
The traditional
Geil.
prone
Ja, genau.
flying pose that Vandal pilots use.
Geil.
I'm very happy with the Stinger. I think the team done a really good job of making something that feels different, it feels alien, but it suits our lineup of ships and it suits our universe.
I think the guys did a really good job of respecting the direction and vision from the original Stinger and Vandal ships and Squadron.
We've tried to take a lot of inspiration from movies and other science fiction material, but I think it sits well within the Star Citizen universe.
So we have the Paladin for the People's Alliance. We have the Stinger for people that really like Vandal and want to try and pretend to be them. But what about the other mysterious factions we have running around?
So Gray Chowdhury got his start as he was working at a cargo center out in Odin. He started being able to get his hands on some stuff that other people couldn't, items that necessarily you couldn't find on a store shelf, but you wanted anyway.
I think Gray is interested in, happy customers. Gray just sees themselves as a conduit to get these things in the hands of people who would appreciate them.
And I think that his latest offering is really going to turn some heads.
So the Shiv, well, we don't really know what it is, to be fair.
It's what happens when someone who is a genius at aeronautics and ship assembly is given free rein to do whatever they
Was
want.
ist das?
Ja, wollte ich gerade sagen.
The best
Hä?
of
Drittes Schiff?
whatever they can find lying around, put
Ja, das war
together
eine
to make
Cutlass.
something truly unique, wonderful, arguably
Schon wieder ein Fighter?
and just released out into the universe to see what happens.
Since then,
At first glance at the exterior of the Shiv, I think most people will probably recognize there is
Drake.
more than a fair proportion of a Cutlass.
nice.
visible
Paladin in
there,
einem.
but it's had quite a few changes to it.
As you look a little bit closer, you'll start to pick out elements from other ships. You've got, main thrusters that are from the Valkyrie.
Even the bits that are obviously a Cutlass have had panels welded on, panels removed. The top turret, which is now remote, is just this hodgepodge amalgamation with multiple other ships' turrets. And then the changes continue onto the inside, where, again, it sort of feels Cutlass-like, but then you'll find there's bits of Crusader ships just integrated into the wall instead of what was there originally.
It has lost its side entrance, some of its cargo capacity, but what it's gained is it's gained visually more powerful thrusters, it's gained a really kind of nice set of belly thrusters, it's upped its firepower.
As ever with the refined work from Gray's Market, you can see that great care was taken to the health and safety to ensure that there's no trip hazards anywhere.
There's like loose cables, panels are exposed. If you look carefully, you'll notice there are like tools laying around in the cockpit.
It's gained a toilet.
Oh.
Bucket.
Yeah, for doing something, you need a second one to wash your hands. It's not an animal.
It has very much taken that ethos of Drake and moved it down a level, which I think is quite an achievement.
Noch schlimmer als Drake.
How do you even begin to
Super,
describe
ich
the
freu mich.
madness that created this? It's the Shiv.
This is something
The
new
Schiff.
and different for Star Citizen. Where did it come from?
Das Ding ist die
I'm
Schiff.
not going to answer that.
Just nothing. Just
No comment.
Gray goes to places and talks to people. I mean, you know, there are just many ways to find these things that, you know, I mean, are they legitimate, you know, manufacturers? No. Are they operating on the right side of the law? Maybe not, but, you know, money's money.
Wohin geht das?
Does Gray have a
Wohin geht
motto,
das jetzt?
an ethos to live by?
It probably comes down to, don't ask where I got it.
Don't ask how we got it.
Don't worry about it. Just ask if you want it.
I think the Shiv is for someone that is looking for something a bit different, a bit away from the norm, that just wants something that's unique.
It's definitely for people who like a rustic aesthetic.
It's a fun ship. But it's also really strong, to be honest. And it's absolutely a statement.
Es ist ein Statement, genau.
I'm happy with the 3 ship offerings. They are obviously very combat heavy.
There's something we wouldn't normally release all at once, but honestly, all of them are a different statement.
As always,
Mit
super excited to
147.
release these ships into the game and just see how players react and play with them. It's
Play
always
already?
fun to
Ich meine,
see
play
the
ready?
quirks and the
Flight ready.
shenanigans that
In-game
people get
Status
up to
flight
with
ready.
them. So that's talking ship
Flight
for
ready,
another
ja.
year.
Okay, krass.
You can't do the thing with Lexi. Talking weapons.
141
I've just been informed that we have to do a bit of a timeshare agreement this year,
Warbound.
so we have to throw it over to Alexi for
RTE.
Talking Weapons, which is an extremely original name.
Talking Weapons. Welche Weapons?
I'm talking about the new edition that came out in October. The non-weapons are essentially the weapons that does not have a manufacturer, the weapons that you can think of that were made by space pirates.
Gray sells whatever he can sell.
Sometimes he gets his hands on some weapons that come from unknown origins.
He will sell things that no company in their right mind would ever make.
These are the most kind of like scrappy and taped together and the most kind of like pyro-ish weapons that you can think of.
Right now we're releasing 3 new weapons. Rocket launcher, the LMG, and the long-awaited Space AK.
Super.
I think this is the one that not only is the most in demand, but I've been politely badgered about the most. It's a fun rifle that basically fires energy and ballistic in sequence. So your first shot will be your ballistic, your second shot will be the energy. You'll see on the top of the art, there is a bolt that cycles the rounds, and that goes off with the ballistic shot, but it does not go off with the energy shot. And that is just like a really fun way of making a weapon work in kind of like a scrappy, glued together kind of aesthetic. The LMG, this thing is a really fun, slow firing, hard hitting beast.
It will bring the 50 cal, and the only other weapons that have this right now in the verse are the Bearing sniper rifle and the Coda.
honestly, if you even get hit by one, you just instant tier 1 injury, back to medical.
Are you even trying anymore?
You know what?
Wow, okay.
We made all these really complicated, fancy guns, and some people just want, I want a slow firing rifle. Give me a scrap together box that fires the biggest thing you can
Update is
possibly
available
fire.
now.
We don't have a rocket launcher of
Did
this
you
caliber.
update?
It will be 3 grenades straight together that you pull into the tube and fire towards your enemies. The cool part about it will have an arming distance, so you will not be able to just point it towards an enemy.
It's also going to have a lot of spread. So essentially, you're going to have to get very close with your launcher to be able to blow up ships with a single payload in it. You can't actually aim with the apparatus, because if you've got the tube on your shoulder and you try to aim it, you'd have to physically put the tube in your head. So we were like, oh, we can't have an aim apparatus for this. And then we realized, like, it's in the spirit of being a tube that you can't use the aiming apparatus, and you just kind of like, all right, I think that's the middle of the screen, I'm gonna hit it.
It's in the spirit of being a tube.
Are we gonna talk about binoculars? Binoculars are really cool. We don't have anything like this in the verse, and I think it will be really convenient to use something that's dedicated to look for the things, especially far away, instead of using your sniper scope, for example.
Will the binoculars have glint?
I'm not aware of this one. Probably not, because binoculars are not something that you need to be aware of.
It's really funny because obviously, due to glint gate, as I beautifully internally call it, basically there was a lot of community feedback basically saying like, oh, I really like spotting people. I really like playing a spotter. And essentially I was like, oh, this community wants to be able to spot people from distances. And what can we make gadget-wise that doesn't require new features? And it was like binoculars. And I prototyped a thing which essentially was just a scope in a hand. And it worked.
Also.
So we've got some really cool binoculars that allow you to spot people from distances.
And how much damage do the binoculars do?
Depends on how you throw them.
Werfen kannst du sie höchstens. Also schießen können sie nicht, ja klar.
Thanks, Alexei and Zach. That's the end of this segment for this year. So that's talking ship and weapons. Unless anyone else is
Ja,
going to
hey, sind jetzt schon 1 Stunde 24 durch.
It's been an exciting year, and I think the next
könnte
year
noch
of
was kommen,
ships is going to be
bitte.
even more exciting and
Großartig.
expansive.
FPS, sonst was. Oh Gott. Hast du schon das Update? Ich habe das Update nicht. Das Update kommt erst.
Ich lade es gerade runter.
Echt?
Du musst den Launcher neu starten.
Habe ich aber eigentlich.
Well.
Ich lade gerade runter 432
That
PTU
is an
10,
eclectic
4, 3,
bunch of
8, 4,
combat
4,
ships for the verse, and they're all available right now up on the robertsspaceindustries.com store. Also, any minute now, there's going to be a PTU drop that includes all 3.
Muss den
So you
richtig
can
schließen,
fly
auch
them now
unten
ahead of
im
their
Taskmanager.
release next week
Genau, schon
when
gemacht.
Alpha 432 goes live. 3 combat ships.
Jared kommt auch
I
durcheinander mit
wonder
den
if
Zahlen
they'll have
inzwischen.
any additional uses coming up later in the show.
Update, ja, da ist es.
That's a hint.
Also
All right,
nächste Woche kommt
what
das
else can I
PTU
shill?
Update live.
Oh, there's merch. We've got these cool new Levski desk mat things.
Ooh.
These are always popular. There's some Levski
Here,
metal
I want-
posters on the store.
Hier, bitte.
And, of course, love them or hate them, but you can't avoid them. There's this cool new Wickelow's Emporium t-shirt.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Cool, mit Wickelo.
There's also a page published earlier today with a bunch of links to offerings from our third-party partners, from eye trackers to gaming chairs to voice packs to spaceship models from new partners like Planet Ring and Pigeon Spaceport and more. You can find all of that on the RSI website as well.
Voice packs.
And what else can I shill? Oh, for those of you who are at watch parties, where is it?
Was gibt's bei den
Challenge
Watchpartys?
coins. Who
Muss
doesn't
Ina
love
ja gleich
challenge
fragen.
coins? There's these lovely Levski-themed challenge coins if you're attending one of the 9 official watch parties around the world.
Infected
There's
Monkey,
also a
hör
digital one
auf,
of
den
these
Diamonds
goodies
aufzuziehen.
pack, so you check those out.
Was,
Don't
womit
leave
zieht er mich
today
auf?
without getting your Levski challenge coin. All right.
Geil, ich will auch so ein Coin.
Ja, Infected.
I'm kinda tired of
Ich bin
chilling.
heute so
All right,
hyped und so nervös. Es tut mir leid,
Find
Monkey.
out some more about where we
Wirklich.
are. Simon, can we move?
Ich kann nicht
Can we
anders.
do- Oh, yeah.
Ich
Look
kann
at that.
nicht
Okay, here we
das
go.
Kamerabild nicht
Pardon
kaputt
me.
machen.
Excuse me. Hi. How you doing? That's my best angle. Hey, I gotta be careful. Last year I took 3 steps and tore a muscle. All right, so this is the 9th floor of CIG Manchester's Manchester office. That's This is the room where we have lunch every day, and if you get here early enough, croissants, if the weapons team hasn't stolen all of them. Over here, we got some cool mannequins representing different aspects of the game. You got the ever-present, Hurston security armor over here. That's really cool. You got your Dusters armor right here. You got this guy from a game that we're not talking about today. Marine armor, yeah, it's all pretty cool. And then when you come over here, got a nice little recreation area. There's some sim pits over there for people who need to test that kind of stuff.
42.
We got this cool Krigeri Bengal carrier.
Wow.
Shoot it. Go down the nose here. Watch this. Pretty cool. I'm gonna go over here. Can you see me?
Wow.
Ich will nicht angeben, aber ich war da.
Echt?
So, yeah.
Ja.
Oh,
Es gab eine Tour in Manchester letztes Jahr. Das ist so genial. Da kann man wohnen.
All right. I thought John went to Washington, D.C. Let's see, what else we got? We got this we got a cool Voyager bar here. This is where we get all kinds of breakfast goodies.
Haben sich Leute beschwert, wie könnt ihr einen Barista anstellen, hat er erzählt. Baut das Spiel fertig.
Also das, was die da zeigen, ist eigentlich Gaming-Industrie normal. Ob du jetzt die CD Projekt Studios anguckst oder die CIG Studios, vollkommen egal, das ist überall so.
Welcome to the Stargarita machine. Yeah. Do devs deserve frozen deliciousness? I don't know. Go to Reddit and let us know. All right, let's see. Let's go over here. Competition. Oh, competition winners. We have the list of competition winners. Can we put that on the screen? Yeah, sorry, competition winners. Remember the competition for the CitizenCon
Competition winners, welche Competition?
And we gave them a Kruger
die Videos, die von Anfang und so.
They're behind me. Look. All right, that's cool.
So ein Spielkind.
Also, everybody's got food. Do I have food here? Oh, somebody's supposed to save me pizza.
Mega
All right, so we got. Oh, you guys saved me a lot of pizza. Let's see. There's like 3 different kinds of pizza here. What if we just combine them into like a challenger situation here?
Oh,
Ja, Mann, das ist...
Erst ist Diamonds, jetzt habe ich gegessen. Jetzt musste auch noch essen. Jetzt hat Jared gegessen. Ich hatte Tomaten mit Käse oder so.
Jared,
and that
bester
is a
Mann.
terrible segue into our next segment.
Was?
Gemma, can we, Gemma, you there?
Yes, Jared.
Can we fire up the FPS crafting segment while I try to chew this off camera?
We sure can. Roll, BT.
Margarita trinken und Pizza essen ist auch Content, ja.
Ist das gut, ey.
Star Citizen, at its heart, will always be an enormous sandbox experience, where you can set out to tackle the universe in whatever ways you want. But that doesn't mean we can't shape parts of the universe here and there to better suit our needs. That goes for both you and us. Let's start this part of the show with a look at how crafting is going to change everything from resource gathering, refining, and even combat when it comes online in the next few months.
The first version of crafting is going to be quite small in scale. We're going to use it as a kind of a concentrated effort to allow the players to experience the initial UI, the flow of gathering materials that have different quality, and using those to craft items which are better than what they have currently in the game.
The first version is going to be primarily FPS items that you can craft, weapons and armor. For Star Citizen, crafting is our primary progression.
Warum nicht Blueprints dafür? Wollte ich gerade sagen.
Ja, genau.
We don't have
Bestimmt.
levels. We have ships.
Okay, wir sehen gerade Crafting.
We
Super.
have things that you create in the world, you perfect.
Hey,
you
aber
research, you
Base
improve.
Building.
And those items, those ships, those vehicles, the armor and weapons, that's how you progress in Star Citizen. Crafting isn't just a progression mechanic for creating new items. It's also a fundamental change to how we handle resources in the game. The materials that you collect, how you refine them, quality matters.
Crafting the weapons, you'll be able to have some quality materials to influence the item stats on those weapons.
It'll be somewhat random, potentially weighted on the location of the material. Some will have a higher chance of higher quality. And once you take those materials to your crafting bench, the fabricator, you can use them to craft, and the different attributes will be increased based on the quality of the materials you use. It's not just iron ore anymore, it's iron ore of the quality that you know will get you the stats for the item that you desire. And it's not just mining, it's essentially every resource we can get our hands on.
To support this, we also need major changes to inventory so that all of these new resources that you're collecting, you can see what you have, you can order it better, you can understand what you have in your inventory.
We won't have the new refining crafting system yet. We'll be using the existing ones. Those will pass the quality through into the refined materials, which you can then take to your crafting machine and start making your personal items. Once you have your blueprint and your quality materials that you've refined, then you can put them together on the item fabricator. This will be pretty much what we showed in last year's CitizenCon, with the UI letting you assign your quality resources to different aspects of the item. Once you're happy with what you see on the preview, you'll be able to click to craft, and it'll get queued up, and your result will be produced sometime later. You'll be able to get the new crafting machine from shops in most landing zones. You'll be able to bring it up on your freight elevator and use it in your personal hangar, or tractor beam it around and stick it on a ship if you want to use it from there.
There'll be a small amount of blueprints you get credited to your account just to test and mess around, but the vast majority of them will be earned through missions, and then you can use that blueprint to craft the item that it is that you've got the blueprint for. So it should be a good reason to go and test all the different various missions in the game.
The advantage of crafting your own items is that they'll be better than anything that you could buy from shops. You'll be able to increase and improve item stats that are relevant to your gameplay. Maybe your gun will shoot faster, maybe it'll do some more damage, or your armor will have greater resistances against environmental effects or incoming fire. You might be wondering, what about the upgrade and research? That will be coming in a subsequent release. We're happy with this initial scope for crafting.
It's going to be so valuable for us as devs to kind of get the metrics in, get the feedback in, because then we can make the changes that, you know, they only become obvious, so to speak, when you have kind of mass amounts of data and mass amounts of users using it. So I'm very excited to get it out in the wild.
It's our intention to get crafting out on tech preview by the end of the year and get the testing we need so we can release it when it's ready.
Ich dachte, es ist aber trotzdem ein bisschen weiter. Ich meine, Sie erzählen ja auch viel, aber ich hätte mir so noch schnelleres Tempo gewünscht.
Jetzt das. In the Star Citizen universe. But what about us? Where do we get to hone in and craft a bespoke experience here and there, specifically tailored to individual or small group play? Well, that's where instancing comes in. And I'm going to let Benji tell you a little bit more.
We're bringing instancing to Star Citizen in 2026. Why are we doing it, and how will it work? So if you've played any content in 2025 in Star Citizen, you know that most of these areas were in actual PvP zones where other players could interfere.
Yeah.
Instancing is a means to create an environment where designers can create tailored content that's tuned to a specific group size, but it is also protected from outside interference. It's not to say that we don't love PvP. I'm a PvP guy. PvP me, bro. But like most MMOs, a good balance between a dangerous overworld and a protected instances is needed. Right now, we don't have this ability, and this is something we really need in order to give you a sense of progression that is tailored and balanced to a tunable amount of groups, so the difficulty matches the group size. There's a beginning and an end. It doesn't mean that that doesn't fit in our overworld strategy, meaning getting to the instance is dangerous, exiting the instance is dangerous, or can be interfered with others. But at least when you're playing the content, we can actually make something that's curated for one experience. So before anybody says this is only a PvE thing, this technology can also be applied to unlock curated PvP experiences that are as seamless as the PvE ones. So it's not about one thing or the other, it's really about unlocking developers' ability to create curated content. So that said, how will it work? Instancing is really an evolution over static to dynamic meshing. We want your instances to be as seamless as your instance hangars, meaning that when you take an elevator, you exit the elevator, you're inside the instance. A gateway opens, you cross that gateway, you're now into your instances. Could be also a quantum jump into an instance that you don't even see. The transition is just like a dynamic mesh transition.
Loading screens haben wir
So throughout the universe, we will be able to add these areas that are open or closed instances that allow you to join in either with a party and have a reserved instance for your party, or join in open instances that has a number of slots. And so some of those areas will be completely instanced on different servers. This allows us to leverage the compute power of the entire mesh. The closed ones will be really to drive one piece of content. You enter and exit seamlessly, just like we do with your instance hangars currently. Let's go and find out what one of our first instances will be.
Siege of Arisen?
Siege of Arisen was an event we did previously, which created a gameplay scenario where the player had to run through and progress through contested islands of Arisen. This was a high-paced, high-intensity event, but it struggled a little bit from its technical execution. But now with the introduction of instancing, it gives us an opportunity to evolve it and modify it and make it better for you in a small group to work through that activity.
It is an event that I had the honor of pretty much solely designing and building all of the logic and having the stress of trying to get it working.
Agent Dooley from the CDF puts the call out for volunteers because basically the Nine Tails have taken over sort of a cluster of floating platforms in Orison.
And you are there to kill these sort of lieutenants of this terrorist organization and take back control. So in our current thinking, Siege of Arisen is designed for about 15 to 20 people fire team. So you, your friends, or your rogue will go in, you'll all have sort of dedicated roles. Some of you might be the tank who brings in the heavy weapons and sort of pulls the fire. Some of you might sit at the back and be the sniper and pick people off who are a bit further to make the advance easier. Some of you will be the medic who sole job is going to be revive and look after the rest of your team and the health of them. And some of you will be the people who push for the objectives to try and get sort of most of the mission done. The event was designed for about 15 to 30 people, but when we released it, we fixed a problem with 2 DGSs on one server that was fighting for resources. And with that, we also upped the player count to 100. So when it first debuted, it was already too full for what it was designed for.
It was a massive operation at the time. I think that bringing it back and giving it a refresher will be a fantastic addition back into the PU.
So imagine if Siege was a instance that you could go in and play solo.
Ja, war sie.
If it was a public event that you could go with your friends or you could join up with random players on the server. There's lots of ways that we want to take a look at Siege, how we can make it a more approachable piece of content.
I'm excited, to say the least, to bring back Siege of Orison to Star Citizen and to sort of have it be one of the first tests that we have for instancing and really get it back to sort of a core experience point where it should be. So while the next season is quite heavily focused on Nyx, I'm also very happy that we're not really ignoring our other 2 systems of Standard and Pyro, and we're going back there and we're sort of improving and expanding on the player's life in those 2 systems as well.
Ja, ist ja schon nicht nur Nyx, sondern auch das da. Aber 2026, die Frage wann?
And while things like Genesis, interstellar hauling, crafting, Siege of Orison, and more will reveal next year, we'll continue to bring life into the existing universe outside of Nyx.
Was bringt noch Leben?
One more exciting use for instancing we're building right now. It's an earlier look than normal, and some of it is
Tiere wahrscheinlich.
But we're excited to share the first look at a major content release of 2026. And what it means for progression-based gameplay.
Base building!
Of our building interior initiative, you won't discover it by accident, because when it's complete, it will be found deep within the heart of Levski itself. This is the Municipal Works.
Was?
Was? Ich weiß das nicht.
Minen.
Facility, you'll find
Miners?
huge vaporization chambers, old processing plants, industrial tunnels, and eventually into the old turbines which are still pumping heat into the old rock.
So this is the true history of Levski. This is a place where you won't see in Lorville, you won't see in I-18 or the other landing zone. It's the pure basis of Levski. You will have, of course, metal and tunnels and more structural place, but you will also see a lot of rock and cave. So it's not a place you go to take vacation. It's really a place you go to fix stuff.
Not everybody has what it takes to come down there and do the job that needs to be done.
All of your sewage systems have stopped working. Everything's going to quite literally.
Sieht fast aus wie Clasher.
And so the player is tasked with their group, most likely, to go into there, take out the outlaws, and get the facility working again.
So let me get this straight. This is literally a mission to fix the toilets of Levski.
It's not just the toilets. You're also trying to turn on the air. Air's a bit more important. It still works in Levski, but they have maybe polluted air because it's not being cleared properly. It's not just for the toilet.
Boot mission.
It's also a little bit more exciting than just going into some vents. It's like a free layered system where there's 3 chapters.
This will be mission-driven and repeatable. Everything from mining to salvage to combat to investigation, a variety of roles. Narratively, it's a real sandbox. Every progression you do will unlock a new area that will link back to previous areas.
Ich find's gerade geil, dass sie da ohne Texturen
We've been wanting to have more gameplay around landing zones for a long time. Now that we have instancing tech coming online, that allows us to do something that provides really cool gameplay close to a landing zone.
With the missions, that's what will create different overlays or change the spaces or change the progression, but it'll be the instancing which will enable us to create tailored content to you and your group. So you're going to be able to play a part of it, make your progress, and then log off. And then the next time you come online, you'll be able to pick up where you left off.
It's going to allow players to return back to a different state, depending on how much you've progressed, and be able to keep it going until you've reached sort of the end of the whole 3 chapters.
Where you're not going to have other people getting in your way. It's you, your team,
Mit Personal Mission oder
It's a
was?
way of giving players content where they know exactly where they're at and they can keep going back to it and improving sort of their own progress and ability to jump through them faster and faster times as well.
So that's a look at how we'll be allowing players and developers alike to create more crafted experiences within the greater sandbox of the persistent universe. Okay, is that it for me at this point, Jared?
Almost. Throw it back to me, and I've got one more for you after this.
Back to you, Jared.
Das ist nice.
Es sieht erholt aus, als ob er Kur gemacht hätte oder eine Gesichts-OP. Ist vielleicht ein Klon. Sie haben ihn nochmal neu imprintet.
Everybody's really excited about the year ahead. So that's a brief look at some of the ways in which we're allowing you and our developers to craft a more curated Star Citizen experience. Now, at this point in the show, we are in the home stretch. We've got only one more segment to go. But before we do that, we wanted to check out, we said earlier in the show that we would look at what you were saying during the show. We looked at how to put YouTube comments on the stream, and it was immediately apparent that we were going to lose our broadcast license, so we're not going to do that. We did find some social media stuff on Twitch, though, or not Twitter, X. What is it called now? Let's see what this says. Let's see. We've got Welcome Back Levski from, I'm not wearing my glasses. Oh, no. Oh, time to suit up. Let's go get him, says Ubu. I really should have worn my glasses. Cue the bagpipes. That's the other game, Charlie Oscar. Let's see. Nice to see you live, Jared. Mom? Let's see. First CitizenCon after playing for
Screaming,
almost a decade.
crying, throwing up.
Oh, nice. Straight out of Klesher, back to the Hex.
Ja.
Photos from Leicestershire. How do you say it? Is that Leicestershire? Lester? Lester? I probably... Jeez, I've only been in the UK for 3.5 years. San Jose Bar Citizen Watch Party. Oh, somebody created a lovely Vandal mask there. Sean Tracy, can we get that in game? Just that, exactly. Just scan that, put that in game. All right, so that's a few reactions we're seeing on social media right now. Before we get to our big finale, or the thing we're going to wrap up the show with today, I did want to talk a little bit about big CitizenCon versus digital CitizenCon versus what we're doing today, which is CitizenCon Direct. Every year, CitizenCon is a monumental task for any number of people, whether that's development, marketing, the support teams, the platform teams. Everybody comes together to make this thing happen and go off, hopefully without a hitch. And so far, we've been doing all right, other than some stuff in the room here. You know who you are. They had to know. But doing CitizenCon is not always the easiest thing for our developers. You might not assume this, but most game developers are not social butterflies. They tend to like to sit quietly in the dark at their computers, like little goblins, and just make digital virtual worlds like this. And then I come in all happy and like, hey, you want to be on video? And they're like, no. And I'm like, it's in your contract. And they're like, oh yeah. So we thought, we usually do it behind the scenes afterwards, but we thought we'd do a little bit of it here. The folks in the editorial department put together a brief montage of some of the more candid moments from the filming of CitizenCon over the last couple of weeks. So we're going to spend 2 minutes and take a look at that. Let's see what they put together.
How many CitizenCons have you performed in now?
Performed? Just the one.
Nope, my first one.
One last year.
2.
A few.
8 or 9? Maybe 9 or 10?
Never.
Man, I don't know, man.
Did you like doing it?
Yes, I was completely terrified.
It was good, a bit stressful.
The first live one, I was a mess.
Weird combination of going from insane highs to insane lows.
Live ones.
Because?
It's over.
The live ones are pretty special.
Pre-tap's always fun, but the live events are special, aren't they?
Remember we were at that weird crack house in Anco's?
Right.
I like the live ones. Oh, I mean, I love these digital ones. These are the best.
Every time I've done it, it has been a digital one, and I'd like to do one on stage.
Is it because you have a restraining order against you, or?
Didn't know if I was going to be sick, if I was going to lose my stomach.
How hard is it to keep your eyes open on stage?
That's not a problem with the lights. They're kind of, I'm realizing through this sentence that I'm closing my eyes as I speak. Do I do that a lot?
Oh, base building.
I am a very shy individual, so this is me just trying to get out of my shell.
Getting the crowd to react to the ideas that we've been working on for so long.
We can react.
Nee, no base building. Statt im Chat, sorry.
I can feel your passion from here.
Yay!
Cut the camera!
Okay, es ist nicht mehr viel, Leute. No.
30 seconds.
Wir werden mit vielen
Umständen
gelassen
Do I
werden.
drink? Do I not? Do I talk?
Ich glaube, die machen
This
so
will be the
ein
best
Ding.
one yet.
One lap.
That's right. Because it's nice and short.
Übrigens hier ein
Is this all supposed to be usable content? Because I could be different.
Of all your nicknames, why is Moist Master your favorite?
I think you mean least favorite, and because it has the word moist in it. I mean, come on.
We'll give you a new nickname by the end of this.
Sounds good. Could do
All
with
right.
one.
Let's get started.
So.
So for those of you watching at home or at the watch parties, you're like, why are we showing that? I put that in there because I'm eternally grateful for all of the CIG staff and developers who take the time to appear on these things, whether it's ISE, SCL, CitizenCon, walk on stage, be pre-recorded. It's not the easiest thing for everybody. And on behalf of the community, if I can speak for them in this regard, I want to say thank you for participating in these things each and every year that we have them. Now, let's wrap things up here. So let's see, how do I want to do this? At this point, we've only got one major story left to tell. But before we do that, we wanted to do one more check-in on something we started last year. Last year, Rich Tyler took the stage and presented his roadmap to 1.0. And we didn't want to go an entire year without talking to the senior game director himself to get his update on that 1 year later. So we're going to throw it to him, and we're going to go to our last segment, and when we come back, we'll say our goodbyes. And if you're at a watch party, it's time to get... I was going to say... that's not a word I can say on the camera. Let's just go. Let's just throw it back to me. Go to me from 1 week ago.
Ah, okay.
Last year, Senior Game Director Rich Tyrer took to the stage and revealed our plan for 1.0. Now, before we end this year's CitizenCon Direct, we wanted to take a few moments and follow up on that reveal from last year, to do as we've done today and look at the year ahead. So, Rich,
Also,
thanks
wo
for taking
stehen
the
Sie
time
und
to join us.
Aussicht? Okay.
You're welcome. All right, so we're going to jump right into it. Everybody knows the only constant in game development is change. So I'm going to ask you outright, what's changed about the road to 1.0?
Well, fortunately nothing. It still remains our North Star. The team is busy working towards that goal in the background, and every patch this year has moved us towards that goal. And if you haven't watched the Star Citizen 1.0 presentation from last year, I highly recommend you do so, because everything in it is still relevant as of today.
You mentioned every patch this year has moved us towards that goal, so I want to dig deeper into that. We've done, at this point, 9 releases in this year, more than any year prior. How does each one of these not just sit as their own moment in time, but move us forward on this road to 1.0?
Well, last year I discussed the framework of 1.0, how all those complex systems can tie together. And one of the core aspects of that was the main story, which became the spine of the universe, which brought all of the locations, mission givers, guilds, and all the different areas of the game to the players. Now, what I didn't talk about from last year was all of the content that was going to support that framework, add the flesh to the bones, should we say. And I think that's where this year has moved us towards that goal. If you think about previous events of previous years, they've generally been locations that we've put into the verse, but they've been transient. We've taken them away, like Siege of Orison or Zenithreat. We've added them to game, and then they've been moved away. And I think with the addition of the patches this year, when you look at the Hathor facilities, Onyx facility, these are permanent additions to the world that not only have their own story, as when we release them with the patches, but they'll also become points of interest and areas that the larger 1.0 narrative will utilize.
Since we're on story, I'm going to stay with this here. Since we launched the PU back in 2015, it's always been this sandbox where players can do what they want. They can bring their own story to the verse, and that'll never change. But how important is it that we also build this concurrent narrative of our own, this crafted experience, if you will, alongside that?
Well, we're trying to create a living, breathing universe. And that includes both the player stories that you mentioned, that they can go and enjoy and create their own memories together. But it also means that we want to have a universe that gives back. We want areas and locations to feel like they're believable and real life locations. And if you look throughout this year and the patches that we've worked towards, we've had an overarching story that's moved from patch to patch, and we're going through some of those cycles right now. We've also been introducing mission content that has fully voiced dialogue and facial animation, which allows us to inject some of the meaning and the why to what you are doing as a player. And I think story is integral to Star Citizen as a connective tissue that ties all of these different complex systems together, because it takes players on that journey throughout the game.
To see this big turn this year to start injecting story into the verse, I think people are really responding to it. So everybody knows, and you mentioned just now, that this year we changed a whole lot about how we operate and how we release things. How do you think that's gone?
I think it's gone very well. I think if the mantra that I've always been pushing this year at the beginning of January was patch always goes. And I think this year has seen a different development strategy for how we've been moving the game forward. That's where different strategy has allowed us to really take a wider approach. And we also have to remember that Star Citizen is played by tens of thousands of players every day. And while we have lofty future goals, we still have to make decisions right now that make the game fun for the people that are playing it all the time, playing it as their daily game. If you look at previous years, we've had to hold a patch back, we've had to make concessions, mainly due to around a feature may not have been ready or right to go into there.
There were 3 months, 4 months, sometimes 5 months between patches.
Exactly, and I don't think that's good for anybody. I don't think it's good for the players. I don't think it's good for the development team. I think it's better to have regular cadence of drops. One good example is this year for A Line of Mine. People probably don't know, but A Line of Mine, when you turned on the laser it was actually supposed to reveal the sandworm Valakar.
Valakar.
And I played it, and it didn't hit the quality that I wanted to go into the game.
What?
So we changed, and I took it out, and I made that decision alongside Chris and Erin, and we've held that back, and we're going to work on that towards a future patch. But I think definitely the more regular cadences has had the multiple benefits, and like I said, I want to dispel a myth right here, right now. Like, features are still being worked on quite heavily in the background, from radar and scanning in FPS, the new quantum, to inventory, engineering and crafting, and all of those features are going to be coming very, very soon for players to get their hands on. And, you know, I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to sit here and say that if I was to go back to the start of the year, I would hope that we would have released more features. But I also think every decision we've made this year has been through the lens of making the live experience as stable and as good as possible.
Absolutely. All right, so that's a bit about the year before. And the year before has been, I've said this before, I've said it internally, I've said it out there, I'm going to say it right now again on camera. I think this has been the best year of Star Citizen ever. And I'm willing to look right into the camera and say that player numbers are up, engagement numbers are up, the length of the play sessions are up, bug numbers are down, 30K is gone. It's been a solid year. But CitizenCon isn't CitizenCon without talking about the future. So I want to move us to the future. We've talked about story. We've talked about this more diegetic, immersive universe and adding voice lines and stuff like this. But where do we go from here? Obviously that continues, but what more are we going to do to make this universe seem alive and real and breathing?
I think the biggest thing is to start having that conversation be two-way. So if you think about this year, like you mentioned, we've been having fully voiced NPCs, but a lot of those missions and those NPCs, they're talking to you, they're talking at you. Right. You don't get to talk back to them. Now, obviously, you get to interact with them through your actions. You get to go and do their mission, and you get to move that along, and then they talk to you again. But it's a one-way conversation.
We're missing that conversation wheel.
Exactly. The next part would be physical mission givers. That's something that we're going to be working towards very soon, with Battaglia being the first one coming back in the verse. And just to be clear, we will be bringing all the mission givers eventually back, and we want them to be an integral part of the verse and the story that players go and enjoy. We want the locations to be brought to life, and as we mentioned last year, we want to have interactive scenes that you can go and be part of. And obviously the full end goal is towards, you know, to have cinematic stories in the game, and that is what we're going to be pushing towards. Everything we do, every decision we make is through the lens of moving us closer to 1.0. It might sometimes be difficult to see why those decisions have been made at the time they've been made, but rest assured that Star Citizen 1.0 is still our North Star. That's what we're still aiming towards, and that's what we're going to be moving forward with every patch next year as well.
And remembering when mission givers were first introduced, they sometimes became a bottleneck. Is there a role in instancing, which we learned about earlier today? Is there a role for instancing in that, in helping with mission givers?
Yes, partially. It will be one mechanism that will allow us to have players go to their own individual area of the verse, have that conversation, and then go and continue on into the open world environment. So I think that's where, when we look at instancing provides us one tool that allows us to remove that bottleneck and provide a more seamless experience.
Happy you said that, because that's one of our last topics I want to get to, is
Hoffentlich kommen noch
how
Bilder,
we reconcile
nicht nur Gelaber am Ende.
with the persistent universe. Like,
Irgendwas noch
for the last
Facebuilding,
10 years
irgendwas, komm.
now, we've been building this giant, seamless, persistent universe where everybody can come in and play together. And it would be easy to have a first instinct reaction to the idea of instancing and say that's antithetical to everything that Star Citizen is. But you mentioned last year these three pillars of building Star Citizen in the PU, and I want to, you said nothing changed, but I want to ask you about this specifically. What are those three pillars again, and how does instancing fit within the greater design of Star Citizen?
So the three pillars I mentioned last year were open world. That's just like the missions you love today. You can go and play, there's other players there, and you can go and enjoy that together. Then we have instancing, which I'll talk a bit about more. But similar to municipal works that we've talked about previously. And then the third pillar was dynamic content, which would be content that's generated by the activities of the players. And I think it's very easy to become myopic around one specific thing when we're talking about it a lot, when it's the next stage of our development. And I think you could reverse it. If we'd have made a game that was all instance, and then I'd come on camera and said, hey guys, we're going to start doing it open world, it would be like, oh, is the game changing? Are we doing open world now? Is open world the new North Star that's going to take us this way? And it's not. It's just one more tool that's going to allow us to offer different and dynamic experiences for players to go and engage in. Now, when I talk about instancing isn't always what you'd imagine as a solo instance experience where it's only just you. We're going to have several different versions of instances. Some are going to be closed instances, which will be like the new player experience. We'll be able for you to go in by yourself, for us to teach you the ropes in a safe environment so that you can understand how to play the complex game that we've made. But we'll also have open instances like a cantina or a bar where we might say, hey, we only want 50 people to come in here because we've got mission givers and we've got other NPCs for you to talk to, and you would just walk in and it would be seamless. You wouldn't know that there was an instance, you're not going to get a loading screen, you would just seamlessly walk into that location, it would be full of other players and NPCs, and you can go and enjoy the content. And that's, I think, something that instancing is going to provide us. It's going to give us a tool to offer different dynamic content, or curated content, as I'd say. It allows us to create experiences that are different to the open world experiences that we've already made. And it's not to say that we won't continue our open world development or only do instance content. It's going to be a mix. And like I said, this is one of the pillars that will move us towards 1.0. We will eventually work on dynamic content that will move us towards 1.0. And all three of those pillars will interweave to create the full Star Citizen experience.
All right, so we've hit a lot of the bigger topics, the feature work, engineering, and FPS crafting coming to tech preview soon, stuff like this. We've talked about instancing and how that's going to work within the universe. But I want to ask you this one last big one. It's very easy to say Star Citizen is this kind of game and that kind of game. Those of us who spend our days making it know better. It's an everything game. It's everything we can make it game. It just is. But at the core of this is still spaceships. That life of spaceships. What more can you tell us about spaceship gameplay in the future? What can you give us? What can you tee up for us to look forward to for those of us who are really into Star Citizen for the spaceships?
Our intentions going forward are to make sure that every ship or ship archetype that you acquire has a role and has content that you can go and enjoy in the universe. For example, right now I know that we're working on more robust mining missions, more robust salvage missions. We're going to be working on refueling missions. And we want to make sure that each and every one of the ship has a purpose and has a reason to exist in the game. That's from the smallest Argo MPUV, as well as ground vehicles, all the way up to the large capital ships. We want to give them purpose, and I think it's something that we are absolutely aware of. We want to make sure that we're building that spectrum of content to allow players to go and engage in, and I think 2026 is going to be a very good year for Star Citizen, and I think there's going to be something that's very interesting and something that a lot of people have been waiting for, but rather than me spoil it, I'll let Ian and the team go into the details on that.
Get a twinkle in his eye. Ian, take it away.
Okay, also, was ist jetzt? Was ist das jetzt? Da kommt doch noch was. A space for spaceships. Oh.
So the persistent universe has existed for over 10 years now. During that time, we've created lots of gameplay systems, we've added hundreds of locations, we've added lots of mission activities for different purposes: combat, cargo, mining, salvaging. But for combat ships, the only thing you've been able to do is fight other combat ships. In 2026, this changes. We're going to be delivering a spaceship-focused activity space which incentivizes the use of different gameplay roles these are going to be scenarios where you're going to have to plan and strategize and create operational tactics to overcome your objective. So what you're going to see is very early. It's early in the pipeline process, and it's going to come online about mid next year. But we're really excited about the content we're creating, so we want to share with you a super early look at what we're building in a space we're calling Tactical Strike Groups.
The People's Alliance are still trying to get to the bottom of what this new faction is really doing in the Nix system.
They've sent a capital ship to check out a station and run it into more than they can take care of themselves.
Unfortunately, that team came under attack and members of their groups were taken hostage. Now they've reached out to Intersec, who've reached out to you to help recover the pilot. Of course, it's unwise to do this alone, so you'll need to put a team together to attack the station.
Multichromischen. Also, endlich mal was für mehr als 10, 15 Leute.
So eine Art Raid, oder was? Große Raid.
Schiffs und Rollen, die dann... Oh, ich hab Gänsehaut.
Jetzt müssen wir uns alles zusammentun. Kein Ausweg. Das kannst du jetzt nicht mit einer... Ja, aber so eine Orga, die nur 10 aktive Leute hat, ja, sorry.
Sagen wir 30, 40, 50 Leute kriegen doch alle zusammen, ne? Wenn wir uns zusammentun für sowas.
Ja, das meine ich. Große Raids.
Konvoi fliegen wird wichtig werden, nix.
Sehr gut. Das ist...
Fokussen. Wen killen wir zuerst? Ja, finde ich gut.
Einzelne Squads müsste auch dir gefallen, Rice, oder? Richtig gut für euer Squad dann.
This station has been outfitted to resist all of the obvious way of attacks.
Somehow they've incorporated Vanduul capital ship killing turrets. These turrets ignore small fighters, and they have the firepower to destroy even the biggest capital ships.
Your Polaris and your Idris, if you get it close, it will get shredded. The idea of these is so we can sort of make it so we can mix up that ship combat and not everyone can just bring the biggest ship and win just because they have the biggest ship.
You have to send out your best pilots to navigate the superstructure and take down anything that may damage your bigger ships. So at this point you're thinking, destroy the turrets. But it's not that easy. This turret has shields that you've never seen before. It won't take any kind of damage. Your missiles won't do anything. Your lasers won't do anything. Your ballistics won't do anything to them. But like everything, you have a weakness. You have to cut the power to their shields. To do that,
hey, das ist wie Ark, Mann. Brauchst den Generator, oder was?
Ja, irgendwie.
Du musst in die Base irgendwie eindringen und dort dann... Ja, genau.
You have to find them.
Ja, ja, ja.
Ist es wie was? Ist es wie was, meinst du?
Ja, so ein... Also als würdest du eine Base raiden. Da kommst du auch nicht durch die ganzen Schilder oder sonst irgendwas. Da musst du irgendwie rein, sneaky, und dort dann die das Engineering ausschalten. Bevor du dann... Richtig. Ja. Weil es führt dazu, dass du Strategien aufbauen musst, wie du da reinkommst. Das ist das Geile.
Psychobanks schreibt auch, so macht das mal Sinn. Da braucht man dann wirklich alle.
Genau.
Kommt nicht nur auf dem großen Pot an.
Richtig. Ja, da geht's auch hier.
Das ist so wichtig. Das ist so
der eine lenkt ab. Ja.
Mega, das ist Endgame-Content für so ein Spiel. Die meisten MMOs kranken genau daran. Endgame-Content fehlt.
Ja.
Und das ist etwas.
Ja.
Mega gut.
Ja. Richtig. Da wirst du jetzt endlich kreativ, weißt du? Da hast du was zu tun. So, wenn eine Strategie nicht funktioniert, musst du die zweite ausprobieren. Dritte, Plan B, C, D, E, F. Geil. Das ist gut, ja.
Mega geil, Royce. Mega geil.
Trench Run. Trench ist das Death Star, ist der Todesstern. Da ist Luke Skywalker da.
Genau.
Das ist nicht Luke Skywalker, das war der Falcon.
Genau,
Ja, genau. Ja. Ja. Boah, den muss ich echt mal gucken. Ich habe da kaum Erinnerungen noch dran.
You're either gonna do it multiple times,
Also,
or you need to
Miro,
bring friends.
awaiting your call.
Ja, einige, die Skywalker am Namen tragen, freuen sich.
So these are essentially strafing runs.
Geil. Geil.
Moment. Da durchfliegen, so da durchfliegen.
Ja, als ob, ne?
Ja, das will ich sehen. Ich bin der Letzte in der Reihe.
Nee, für das stellen wir den Flo ran.
Ein liebe Hexi, der macht dann Scoping, also gucken. Ey, da kommt gerade jemand, Achtung, links, rechts und so.
Was heißt das mit dem Call, Deines?
Solche Leute braucht man auch.
Sag Bescheid, wenn du das machst, ich bin sofort dabei.
Ach so, okay, ja.
Ich glaube, der Hexi muss mehr Leute einladen.
Das bin ja nicht nur ich, also ihr hoffentlich auch, ne?
Suna, dein Team, mein Team, Hexis Team.
Am besten haben wir Teams, die gut aufeinander eingespielt sind und dann einfach nur auch kurzfristig 1-2 Tage davor, bam. Oder halt mit 5 Tagen Vorplanung, ja klar.
Schwierig.
Aber Disziplin, ne? Ich habe ganz viele Haudegen, die wollen sich auch gerne mal hauen. Müssen wir uns echt zusammenreißen. Haut euch mit ein.
Das kriegen wir hin.
You're going to be able to land in the hangar of select ships and be able to use the same interface.
Wir sind hier
as
3
you are
Orks. Interstellare
right now
Handelsmarine,
at stations
Handelsmarine,
to
Suna
refuel
Devi,
and rearm.
Hexenwerk,
Specifically for ships like the Idris
Wie
and
heißt
the
der noch? Hex,
Polaris
ne?
and other
Hex
ships
Kitchen.
that are
Hex
designed
Kitchen.
Genau. Und natürlich
have other
bei
ships
Starcom,
inside
Starcom
them.
Germany.
Of course, it'll be more than just those 2 ships, and you'll find out more once we get closer to release. But this is a really important feature that we're really excited to get out.
If you're not bringing your own Idris, the People's Alliance has an Idris there that can provide a safe port in a storm, allow you to set back up.
Na, das geht jetzt in die Richtung wirklich viele Leute zusammen.
Ja.
Aber da kann man sich auch spezialisieren. Also wie würdet ihr das einschätzen hier, was wir sind? Also eine Staffel hier mit kleinen Jägern, die macht dann quasi diesen Run da rein. Ach, wir sehen es ja eh gerade. Krass.
Ich bin der Pilot von dieser
Fighters are
Paladin,
protecting the Idris. What's happening at the station? Well, that's where the dropships come.
Ja, ich hatte die Hoffnung, dass wir sowas in Basebuilding schon mal üben könnten. Weißt du, in kleinerer Vision.
Da bin ich, Leute, ich gehe rein.
Man muss ja nicht unbedingt 50 gleich einladen, aber sowas in kleinerer Vision kann ich mir auch schon gut vorstellen.
Oh Gott.
Eine kleine Station, die man übernehmen muss oder so.
Aber wie krass, wenn da draußen einfach der Fight abgeht, dann kommt auch so ein Bodeneinsatzteam, macht auch was drin. Oh, bin gerade sehr angefixt.
Jawohl, auf jeden Fall.
So at this point, all of this sounds pretty simple, but there's an additional complication.
Ist gar nicht so einfach, so viele Leute zusammenzubekommen, die alle Zeit haben.
Das geht. Wir haben es schon gemacht, das geht.
Was ist hier los?
Ja, aber auch noch eingespielt, schwierig.
Ich meine, keine Gruppe, die so regelmäßig zusammen spielt, ist von Anfang an eingespielt. Das ist Übung, das geht.
Aber hier braucht man das. Hier braucht man das. Guck mal, wie strategisch das ist. Ja. Hier jubeln gerade 30 Leute.
Ja, das ist genau unser Scheiß, ja.
Ja, ey, Rice, auf jeden Fall. Jericho, Kommunikation, mega gut. Schwarzer Herzog, falls du mich hörst, kannst du unseren Teamspeak-Server wiederbeleben, bitte? Ich bezahle den mit.
Also ich habe von einem Community-Mitglied den Discord, ich meine Teamspeak, falls ihr da keinen habt, ich kann fragen, ich wette 100 %, dass ihr da eure Kanäle machen könnt. Und weil das ist ja nicht begrenzt, oder? Wie viele Kanäle kannst du auf Teamspeak machen?
Ja, Kanäle kannst du, glaube ich, ganz unendlich machen, aber Member, also Leute, die drauf sind.
Some of it was very focused on FPS combat. So personally, driving a more vehicle-based experience was very important to me. This is a defining statement that I want to do in 2026.
Die Frage ist wann?
We're a spaceship game.
26.
There are prized possessions. To the objects we fall in love with. This is the content we want to create, which creates scenarios and roles for you to use those spaceships. We won't get to all roles initially, but we should see this as a landmark, a position where we can see a gameplay space which incentivizes the use of different ships and scenarios to clear objectives and complete missions in a variety of roles. And in the future, we can use this to expand on. So I hope you're all just as excited as I am for tactical strike groups. They're gonna be fantastic.
Oh, 2027 schätzt sogar Harlock.
Angeblich nächstes Jahr.
Weil Early Preview. Genau, das sieht noch so weit aus. Kann ja wirklich sein, dass es erst in 2 Jahren kommt.
Aber ja gut, Puffelfisch sagt halt genau das richtig. Ich muss erstmal rauskommen, dann muss es bugfrei laufen. Aber geil, ich freue mich.
Aussage war Mitte 2026, sagt noch hier Richard.
Why do you still have the puppet? John, come home. All right, so tactical strike groups. You know, it's been a long road for the last 10 years. The PU's been around. We've done lots to build stuff for mining ships and for salvage ships, and as Rich said, we're currently building out even more for those, and our first refueling missions coming online in 2026. But combat missions. Oh, hi, Aaron Roberts. But finally having enough of the foundation in place that we can begin to build real spaceship operations, in any other MMO they'd call dungeons. It's really exciting for me, and that's why we're ending the show this year with that. So yeah, that's been CitizenCon Direct. Thank you for taking the time to share this with us. Again, this is just a glimpse at some of what's coming in 2026. I've seen the Twitch chat and the YouTube chat like, oh, you're spoiling everything. I promise, we ain't. So,
also viel
before we let
mehr,
you
was da
go,
noch kommt.
that's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as with every CitizenCon, the last word shouldn't be mine. It should belong to our founders and CEO. So take it away.
Ja, ich hätte mir schon irgendwie so ein bisschen Übersicht gewünscht. Aber was sollen sie sich selber Druck machen? Sie bringen es raus, wenn es rauskommt. Chris.
Of course, we're not going to spoil everything that's currently in progress. And many features we haven't discussed today are in active development, like base building, social, and trade tools that are very much a priority. These, along with bringing the final polished features from Squadron 42 into the persistent universe, will make next year the most exciting yet for Star Citizen. Finally, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone at CIG for working so tirelessly and with so much passion to deliver something that is already special and will only get more so as we continue. And of course, to all of you, for making all this possible with your support and feedback. We couldn't do this without all of you, something that I and the team appreciate every day. We are very lucky to be allowed the time and the money to build a game of all of our dreams, something that is only more apparent as the video game business becomes more monolithic. We are one of the few large independents left standing, and there is no way we would be allowed to dream as big as we are on an original game and take the time to achieve that dream if we were part or funded by any of the few remaining mega game companies. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing you all in the verse this coming year.
Ja, warme Worte.
Ja.
Gut, ich gehe jetzt ins PTU gleich.
Ja, ich bin schon drin. Ich bin schon drin. So, ich hatte es eben bei mir kurz eingeblendet, was ich gerade mache. Ich habe mir die Paladin kurz angeschaut. Alter, was für ein schönes Schiff. Obwohl, wenn man jetzt sagt Schiff, ne, dann gibt es ja auch ein Schiff.
Ist doch ein Schiff.
Ja, das Ding heißt doch Schiff. S-H-I-V. Also, was denkt ihr? Also ich fand die CitizenCon gut.
Na, ich könnte mir vorstellen, dass noch was kommt. Ist okay, aber ist halt so ein super aufgeblasenes ISC.
Ja,
gewesen, ne?
hatte ich jetzt auch das Gefühl, ja. Also die haben klar neuen Content jetzt präsentiert, aber so richtig. Wir haben so viele Sachen gefehlt.
Was hättest du gern gesehen?
Was ich gerne schon längst gehabt hätte, wäre auch dieses Orga-System, was die ja unbedingt reinbringen wollten, wo sie eigentlich schon
Es kommt noch was. Bi und Pyro. Es geht noch weiter. Entschuldigung. Das lief einfach das nächste Video. Entschuldigung, ich dachte schon, sorry, Suna. Was hat dir gefehlt? Sorry.
Bei mir ist auch ein nächstes Video, sorry.
Hast du auch
Ich habe auch gefailt. So, warte.
Stinger. Ist schon einiges dazugekommen jetzt.
Ach so, ich wurde auf nächstes Live-Video rübergeschaltet. Das ist ja strange.
Ja, wahrscheinlich die letzte Con, ne?
Äh,
Also auf die letzte Con auf.
nee, zu
ich
Morphologist. Zu Morphologist, sein Big Event Live Reaction.
Ja, ich wurde so zu Foxy Loxy rübergeschickt.
Ja, wie gesagt, also mir hat dieses Orgasystem hat mir gefehlt. Das alles, was die eigentlich versprochen haben, wurde ja aber auch nicht realisiert, weißt du? Ach, ich weiß nicht.
Aber Hexi, wenn du jetzt gleich aufs PTU gehst, schickst du mir gerade eine Freundeanfrage, bitte? Also noch nicht, ich bin noch im Ladescreen, aber oder in der Queue.
Oh, wir haben 11:30. Wie lange macht ihr denn noch? Oder was wollt ihr?
Also ich schaue mir das bisschen an, das PTU. Vielleicht noch eine halbe Stunde oder vielleicht auch 5 Stunden. Ich kann es dir gerade nicht sagen.
Ich weiß es auch noch nicht, aber es ist großartig. Ich will die Paladin zumindest